I didn't really get deep into it, but you know, like they had told Omar pretty much that we had to go up to Broward and talk to these guys and basically either tell them to drop the name or get dealt with. The only problem is I don't know how the hell we were gonna deal with them because this dude had the numbers. We didn't have that kind of muscle at that time. You know what I'm saying? So when I saw this dude popping up, I'm like, oh shit. And I look back and the three huge dudes that were with me bounced.
There were
I'm
Zulus
like,
too, and they left
they were coming, they were part of the chapter, but they were manifesting. And after that embarrassment, I didn't allow them to manifest.
Oh my god, dude.
You know what I'm saying?
So you're standing there alone.
I'm standing there alone. I had to lock the gate and I had to run to Omar and I'm like, yo, they're here. Who's there? Broward. Omar got his burner and they came. Bless the dead, John, David Carbonell, and all those dudes, and they came. And
The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Flash Talks, history worth listening to. I go by the name of Flashback, and this evening we have another special guest. Man, this guy is so amazing. He's all the way from Miami right now, but he has a great history. So let's do this. Introducing Chilly Willy, aka Almighty Chillski, a native of Miami's Little Havana neighborhood who has been called one of the truest embodiments of hip hop culture. He immigrated to the United States from Cuba during the Mariel Boatlift in 1980 and became enormous with hip hop 2 years later when he heard the song Planet Rock. Chillski is one of the few remaining B-boys, Boogie Boys from Miami's early mid 80s and has been involved in breaking, popping, uprockin, graffiti, MCing, and DJ. That's the five elements of hip hop. He's done it all. He's been a member of some of Miami's most legendary crews and was also recruited by some of New York's most legendary graffiti crews in the early 90s. In 1993, Chillski joined the Miami chapter of the Universal Zulu Nation and quickly rose through the ranks, ultimately becoming a chapter leader. Along with his associates, he has been an active member of Miami's hip hop scene for 41 years. That's a long time. That's actually older than a lot of people that are watching this show, helping to bridge the gap between the elder and younger generation. Chillski is also the godfather and founding member of Miami's notorious Deadly Venoms. If you don't know who Deadly Venoms is, you're going to find out tonight. A popping crew who has performed nationwide with a long list of old school hip hop and freestyle artists. Recently, he has made an acting debut in 2009 movie called Vandal. Oh man, I'm so excited to introduce you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Almighty Chillski. What up? What's up,
my
brother? How
brother,
you doing?
my brother, thank you so much. Thank
How
you
was that
so much.
intro? How was that intro right there for you?
That intro was amazing, brother. Awesome. Thank you.
So how's everything with you, man? It's been a while. I've
Yes.
seen you in the culture for so long. In fact, I've seen you in the culture since I first probably came out here to Miami to visit. So, and you've been around and under your belt you got over 40 years. I know that for a fact.
Yes. Yes.
So we're gonna get to the history, but the first thing I usually like doing, as you can see, you've seen the show before. I want you to
Yes.
tell me what you see around the screen right now.
I see all the beautiful elements that make up our culture. I see the B boys and the B girl. I see the DJ. I see the graffiti, and I see my homeboy right there with the boombox. And you know,
And I can imagine you got a bunch of those boom boxes from back in the days, right? Or what
yeah,
they call them, ghetto blasters. That's how they
the
used to
ghetto
call it back in.
blasters.
But we're gonna talk that. But one of the reasons why I like doing the show is, man, to give you the flowers now. You still here with us. You know, you've been
Thank
around the
you.
scene for a long time, and this is platform for you to showcase and talk about your history. There's a lot of people that know your name, but they probably don't know how you started, where you went, the amazing things you've done for the culture, especially the Miami scene. So I want to thank you, and it's an honor to have you on the show.
Thank
Welcome to
you, my
Flash
brother.
Talks, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity to give a little bit of my history. I mean,
Awesome, awesome.
thank you,
Yeah,
brother.
so we're gonna go straight into this, and the first question is, how were you introduced to the hip hop culture? And when I say the hip hop culture, I'm talking about even if it wasn't hip hop called yet, but I want you to talk to me about like the beginning of you getting into certain elements, so that way our listeners and our viewers can actually understand how everything came about. You becoming Almighty Chillsky.
Okay. Well, first things first. I was born in Havana, Cuba, 1971, and being in that country and the oppression and whatever, like you couldn't do anything that was quote unquote American, but we had pirate radios. Like they used to rig the radios and the antennas or whatever. And some way, somehow, we used to get music from the USA up there. So I remember as a little kid listening to American music and being in love with it. You know, specifically, you know, like the disco of that time. You know what I mean? Like I believe that the music was coming from Miami because it's the closest, obviously, to the island. So you know, we were all into like the Bee Gees and you know ABBA and all that stuff. So as a little kid, I was a big fan of the disco, like the Bee Gees again. So we had an opportunity to come to the States. My father was a political prisoner, uh, fighting against the regime, and he did 17 and a half years because of that. Prior to that, he was supposed to have been recruited over here by the Brooklyn Dodgers because he was a great baseball player.
Oh,
But
that's awesome.
but unfortunately, because of the change of guard right there, and you know Castro coming in, you know he became a renegade and started doing things against the government, and boom, next thing you know, he's in jail, locked up. So that kind of like threw a monkey wrench, and we weren't able to come. Well, actually, I wasn't even being thought of at the time, so God knows what could have happened. But in 1980, we got an opportunity, and we uh, we got I've been knocked on the door by the soldiers, and they're like, "It's time to go. Get the hell out of here!" Boom, and we got into like the whole Mariel Boatlift. Got into that boat and sailed away, and landed
So
in
wait. Let me stop you right there, because that's people in America don't even understand. Like the Americans here, if they listen to that story, they could hear it. But to experience it is another thing, especially Cuba, socialism, communism, and all that stuff. Especially in America, you see the rise of it happening now,
yeah.
slowly,
They don't
slowly.
know.
Things, yeah,
They don't
and they
know.
don't even know how
They don't
bad
know
it is.
what they're wishing for. I'll tell you that much.
Exactly. So now, around what year you could think of that happened, when your dad was a political prisoner, he was playing baseball, like you said, and all that. What was the How old were you, and like what year was it? You think?
Um, my father went to jail. I don't remember the year because I wasn't even born. I got created in one of those visits. But when I'm talking about the years of me listening to like the radio and stuff like that, I could remember as far back as I was probably like 5, 6, 7 years old. Now, when I get on the boat and travel to ultimately Miami, I was 8 years old doing the Mariel Boatlift in 1980. So we we sailed and we got to Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. I mean, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. We got to Key West. We got processed, and immediately after getting processed, they flew us to Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. And right there, we spent I want to say a couple of weeks, might have even been a month, because nobody from the family knew that we had even came to the United States. And then all of a sudden, um, my auntie, I don't know if you know my cousin Dash, his mom came and claimed us. My auntie, Tia Kati, and Tia Eva, her mom. And we came down to Miami. And at first, we stayed with them for a little while, and then we moved to Miami Beach and spent a little time in Miami Beach. My cousin then moved to New York, so we used to anytime there was like summer school or any school break or whatever, we used to travel to New York because my father was trying to make a living out there. Also, he was trying to look for work, and in Miami, they weren't making good money out here. So, hence my first connection and experience with that New York culture that eventually became hip hop. Um, through those travels, I was able to, like going into the train, I was able to see the trains bombed, like, and seeing those trains, like, it caught my attention immediately because I was already an artist. Like I've been drawing since I was. If you hear from my grandma and my grandfather, may they rest in peace, I've been drawing ever since I could walk. So seeing this art on the train, specifically the characters, the letters, I didn't understand them at the beginning until a little bit later. But specifically the characters, I'm like, oh wow, you know what I mean? Like I'm bugging out because I had never seen art that big in any sort of platform like that. I had seen it only on paper and canvas at the most. Not even canvas because I wasn't into like the whole artsy stuff, paper. Um, and so with a couple of those travels, I was able to experience that art. And I remember one time that we were, I believe it was in 42nd Street. I was able to see some dancers out there, which at the time I didn't have a clue what that was. I'm talking about probably 1980, 81. I had no clue what it was, but it looked to me like martial arts. It looked to me like kung fu,
Like,
because
how old were you? How old were you?
I was 8 years old, 9 years old.
Also,
Um,
everything happened quick from
yeah,
Cuba
everything.
to the boat, Key West,
Yeah, yeah,
Miami, New York right away.
yeah. Everything was pretty quick. I mean, like I tell you, like those experiences in New York were because of us going to vacation and visit New York City because we had family out there, mainly my cousins. So I want to say it was in 42nd that I saw some what I would later know was B-boys doing it, but at first I thought it was kung fu. And ever since I was a little kid, besides my art, I've always been into the art of fighting. You know what I'm saying? In Cuba, I didn't know about Bruce Lee, but I knew about samurais. And we used to watch the Satoichi movies, the Blonde
Ooh.
Swordsman, Toshiro Mifune, all the samurai stuff used to play in Cuba for whatever reason. Um, then when I come to the States, one day I'm watching TV and I see this movie and it just blew my mind. It was The Big Boss by Bruce Lee. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
isn't that the Fist of Fury?
The one that they call Fist of Fury, but it's the
Yeah,
original. Yeah, the
the
original name
original
is The
Big
Big Boss.
Boss. Yes.
So I saw this movie and it blew my mind. And after seeing that movie, it so happens that like around my neighborhood, there's a little Ricky Dink theater called the Trianon Twin Cinemas, and in that cinema, they it was like what they would call like the grindhouse type stuff. Like they show like all the low budget movies, all the horror movies and sex comedies and all that. So in that particular cinema on Friday nights and on Saturday nights, they used to do the double feature. On one cinema, that you put like two kung fu movies, and on the other cinema, two horror movies, or mix and match. I'll be in there until the wee hours at night skipping. I'll jump the fence and I'll watch whatever was there. So I went to see Fist of Fury, aka the Chinese Connection, and the Big Boss. Again, I saw both of them in that theater. And later on, I would see Enter the Dragon, which was my third movie that I saw from Bruce Lee, and then Where the Dragon. Now, mind you, I'm like this dude. I became this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like I just wanted to be this dude. I did not know that Bruce was dead. I had no clue that Bruce was dead. You know, I'm a little Cuban boy. I hardly know no English. I'm just learning the language. So it wasn't until I saw a movie called Bruce Lee, the Man, the Myth, by one of the Bruce Lee imitators called Bruce Lee.
Yeah, Bruce Lee.
Yeah, Ho Shang Tao. And when I saw Bruce Lee, the Man, the Myth, is when I learned that Bruce was dead, and it broke my heart, dude. Like, talk about crying, like like a baby. But that movie set me on this crazy path, bro. Like, I ate, bled, shitted Bruce Lee. Like anything that I would see of Bruce Lee, I would grab it. We didn't have no money, but thankfully, my older sister, you know, she knew that I loved him, and she would buy me like little magazines here and there. I would go to Eka Drugs, and if I would see an Inside Kung Fu magazine or a black belt, I didn't have the money to buy it, but I would like secretly rip the page that had Bruce Lee and put it in my pockets and dip, you know. So it just became a huge obsession. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, then we start, you know, Samurai Sundays start coming through. Channel 6, WCIX used to have a week that they will play strictly Kung Fu movies, mainly Bruce Lee imitators, Dragon Lee, Bruce Lee, Tao Tai Lang, all these guys. And now I'm not only a Bruce Lee fiend, but now I'm a fiend of the Kung Fu cinema. So when I saw those B-boys in 42nd Street doing what they were doing, and mainly what we used to call the helicopter, the sweeps and stuff like that, I thought that it was Kung Fu. It wasn't until I want to say, I don't remember exactly if it was 81 or 82 that That's Incredible came out with the New York City Breakers.
Oh, okay. That was the Floor Masters versus Dynamic Rockers.
Yeah, exactly. The Floor Masters versus Dynamic Rockers. And I saw that. And I'm like, whoa. And again, it blew my mind. Now I'm like, oh, snap. So this is what those guys were doing. Not too long after that, I think it was in Ripley's Believe It or Not, I think the New York City Breakers came out again. So now I'm getting more and more and more vision of what it was. And I'm ashamed to say it, but I used to have two left feet. Like, I couldn't care about dancing during that time. Like, I was not into any dancing type. Well, yeah, I guess you could say I was into like pop music, like Billy Idol and, you know, stuff like that, and heavy
David
metal.
Bowie.
I was a big heavy metal head, like Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath and, you know, Led Zeppelin and all that. But when it came down to dancing, my brother was the dancer of the family, and my father, may he rest in peace, an amazing dancer. But they were doing, you know, salsa and stuff like that. And I'm gonna sound like an idiot, but I was never into that. Like, yeah, I'm Cuban, yeah, straight up Latino, straight from the island, but that music, not until much, much later. At that time, it wasn't doing nothing for me. I couldn't care about it one bit. So, you know, I'm looking at this kids, you know, every once in a while I see somebody do something similar to what I had seen in TV and what I saw on 42nd. And then I want to say that it was my elementary year. I want to say sixth grade. This homeboy of mine, George Montero, and his boy, as we're leaving, when the bell rang and everybody's leaving home, I see these two dudes practicing in the P field. And that was like my entrance to this world we call b-boying. Because I saw my two homeboys. They weren't keen on teaching me or anything. I just asked them, "Yo, what's that?" And they're like, "Oh, there's breaking."
So
Or
what were they
going,
doing? What were they
they'll,
doing that you
they'll do
saw?
it. They'll doing like a little bit of top rock, and then they were going straight into helicopters. And then George was dope because George used to do the top rock into a corkscrew into the helicopter, right? So I found it mad dope. You know what I'm saying? I found it mad dope. And I started practicing on my own because for whatever reason, they were too cool for school. They didn't want to teach me. You know what I'm saying? So I started trying to practice on my own. And then at the same time, I had also seen what I would later identify as popping or electric boogie or whatever you want to call it. I had seen it in I had seen it on Soul Train, and I had seen it also. There's a an artist, Ross Stewart.
Okay.
Ross Stewart has a song called is it Young Turks? I believe it's called Young Turks. And at the end of the video, you see a guy popping at the end of the video. It's like 81, 82. And I like that dance because it looked robotic. You know what I'm saying? And
Okay.
I had something like with space sounding music. Like there's a group that I loved from the disco era called Bonnie M. And they were like my
Yes.
favorite group in Cuba. But Bonnie M had a song called Night Flight to Venus, 1978. And it just it had like this spacey sound. And I just loved like robots, and I just loved all that. And then my cousin is also to blame because like when we got here to the States, then he introduced me to Star Trek, to Battlestar Galactica, and then ultimately to Star Wars. So I just had a fascination along the whole Kung Fu, Bruce Lee fascination. I had a fascination with space stuff. So like the first song that I ever even tried to do the robot was Anita Ward's "Ring My Bell," and it, it's anything else because that song had like this later laser boo sound
Yeah.
that made me just want to do what I was seeing like these guys and girls in Soul Train and stuff like that. So that's the first time that I ever tried anything of that sort. Not good whatsoever. I didn't even think that I was gonna even stay doing anything like that. But then, uh, 1982 comes, and one day I'm listening to a local station, I-95 FM, and in comes this song, dude, that just blew my mind. And that was Planet Rock by Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force.
And you're in New York still at that time?
No, I'm in Miami. I'm in Miami.
Also from because
All
you
the
were in New York and then
yeah,
you went back to Miami,
yeah,
or was it
yeah,
before?
the New York thing was only visits. We weren't
Oh,
living
so
out
you
there.
were visiting. You were
Yeah, yeah,
visiting. Okay.
only visiting. But it led to me kind of like knowing some, like when I started seeing it here in Miami, I already was able to identify because I had already seen it up north. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you know, when I heard that song be, it blew my mind because even though I had heard other hip hop stuff before, like for example, like obviously Rapper's Delight. I was all over. It
But
was
you
a
didn't
huge.
identify it as hip hop, or you just
No,
thought
well,
it was
we didn't even know
music.
what hip. Yeah, we didn't even know what hip hop was, but it was a song that was cool. It had a funky rhythm. I identified it more with Cheek, the group Cheek and Good Times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, because it has the same sample. So
yes, exactly. So that song, oh my God, what's my man's name? I forget the guy's name, but there was a song called Double Dutch Bus, and it's kind of like a rap song too. a double Dutch bus coming down the
Yes.
street. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I forget my man's name right now, but
Isn't it
you know,
something Smith?
yes, 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 yes. Oh my God, I
Frankie
can't.
Smith. Frankie
Cranky
Smith.
Smith. Yes, exactly. So that was out at that time, and you know, you had like little things that you heard that were identifiable with what later would be known as hip hop. But even though I liked them, it didn't really do much for me. Like I like the hard stuff, like the rock. But then when Planet Rock comes in, it's space music. It's that groove that is
Yeah, it has the
it,
electro funk. It's electro
yeah
funk.
yeah it's funky, it's spacey, but it was hard. It was like it made me feel like doing stuff that I had never in my life even tried. You know what I'm saying? And hence how I start trying to get into like the whole popping also, like popping and
Now,
breaking.
did you hear the song or saw a video of it?
No, I heard the song on I-95 FM.
And you haven't seen the music video or anything?
Not yet, not yet, not yet.
Oh, okay, okay. So
Not at
carry
that
on.
time. Um, Not too long after that comes another song that was almost the same, but now it has singing, which was "Play at Your Own Risk"
Oh,
by
I know.
Planet Patrol. And then when I these two songs be like they were just driving me crazy. And then what I would do, I would, you know, chill and sometimes watch my boys practice, kind of like absorb what I was seeing, and try to practice it in my house. Now, when I finished school, that 1983, I finished my sixth grade year. So that 83 through 84 year is my first year in junior high. And I remember like it was yesterday. Like I got on the school bus, and as soon as I get off the school bus and I arrived to the school called Citrus Grove Junior High, like talk about being intimidated. Like I almost like ran back into my bus and begged the bus driver to take me back home because I had never been in a school so big with so many people, so many.
Where in Miami? Where in Miami is that?
The Little Havana section.
Oh, Little Havana section. Okay.
Yes.
Was it crazy back then, or was it like
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. Everything was crazy. I mean, as a matter of fact, in Miami Beach, when we were living in Miami Beach, every single night you would hear shootings. You know, the Marielitos had a bad fame out here in Florida. You know,
And that's around the cocaine
the
cowboys time,
cocaine
right?
cowboys, straight up cocaine cowboys. You know what I mean? But you know, thankfully we never got involved in none of that, whatever. But when I arrived to the school, Citrus Grove, um, that school was like when I could say that gave birth to me. Like that was my real coming out party. Like as soon as I walked into the school, be like it was crazy because I walked and you could identify everybody. You could see on in the middle are all the morenos, all the black people. They hung out like right in the middle. They got their little boom boxes. They're listening to rap or whatever. To the far left, it was the heavy metal heads, the rockers, and down a little bit towards the middle, but a little bit closer to the street, it was the ones that we used to call the GQs or the new wavers, and then to the far right was the B boys and the fly girls, and boom, I gravitated.
So segregation was already happening in your school.
Oh yeah, but it was a cool segregation because you know who was what. Like as soon as I seen some of the heads in my school, I already, without knowing, I already knew they were b-boys because of the way they was dressed. There's this one dude that I will always give him a shout because he's like one of my original heroes. This kid Jackie. Jackie was also called Chilly. they called him Chili also. They actually
Okay.
started, they tried to start a beef between him and I because of the name. Because back then you couldn't have the same name. That's
Definitely.
that's war right there. You know what I mean? But Jackie was older. I was in seventh grade. He was in ninth, and those that were trying to create a problem, he was like, "No, no, no, he's cool." You know what I'm saying? He always gave me that pass, and also he was a B boy and I was a boogie boy. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't really like breaking too much. Um, and plus I was doing graffiti, so everybody knew me as a writer.
Now, chili came from graffiti, or did it come from like a
Chili
random?
came, Chili, Chili came actually from this morenita friend of mine in elementary that I guess I must have looked like a penguin or something. She was calling me silly Chili Willy. Silly Chili Willy this and silly Chili Willy that. So that name just stuck and everybody started calling me Chili. Chili Willy. And now all of a sudden I'm Chili Willy part two in Citrus, which to my shock, there's a third Chili Willy that thank God that that we never were around that dude because that dude was a gangster. That
Oh,
was Chili Willy from Bayfront Boys, who was a gang back then that was notorious.
what's the name of the gang?
The Bayfront Boys.
Okay, and
Yeah,
that's out of Miami. They're
yeah,
they're originally from Miami.
yeah. Originally from Miami. Notorious gang. So, but thank God that we never met. Although I can never verify this because I never really met him. I only heard of him, but they say that we were twins. Basically, that was like his younger version. So it's weird. But anyways, so Jackie belonged to this crew called the Miami City Breakers, which was a very dope crew from out here, especially from my neck of the woods in Little Havana and Alapata neighborhoods. And so Jackie kind of like he didn't really take me under his wing or anything like that, but like people started like giving me more dap because they saw that him and I was cool. Along the way, there was this other fly girl named Cammy, Lady Juice. And that's my heart. That's my homie to the death. Cammy is the person that actually taught me how to tag. Like I was tagging before, but she's like, nah, you're doing it wrong. Here's some style. Boom, she gave me style.
Oh,
This
okay.
girl stuck out like a sore thumb in the school because whereas all the other females were like GQ'd out and with the Madonna look and all that, Cammy was rocking like her Lee's. The first person I ever saw rocking the Adidas shell toes with the baby blue stripes and the baby blue laces was Cammy Lee. And yo, be like, she was so incredibly fly, like the chains. I mean, the hairstyle, the whole look. Her,
So she
her
had like
homegirl
that B
Barbie.
girl look, like
Yes,
that B girl
one
original
hundred,
style. She
one
was
hundred percent,
fresh.
100%. And she stuck out like a sore thumb. But then coming to find out, she was from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? She was an import from the Bronx. So
Mm.
see, what a lot of people don't realize that Miami has a lot of New York connections, a lot more than people know. Like for example, Speedy Legs and Mr. Flex and Ozrock. You know what I'm saying? Down in my way, we had Lady Juice. I had my man Frank, who was another import from the Bronx. Cool C. You know, all those dudes are mad dope that were planting seeds, whether it was in the b-boy tip or in the graffiti tip. You know what I'm
And
saying?
you didn't know about Speedy Legs, you didn't know about
Uh,
Ozrock, you didn't know about Mr. Flex at that time
not
or anything,
not
right?
not that early. Not that early. I
Okay,
came to
okay.
I came to
And
hear about
we'll get to that. We'll get
yeah.
to that.
So yeah. So this is 83 going on 84, and now I'm starting to get the bug because when I first started learning, of course, you don't learn from one day to the other. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So obviously, you're not fresh at the beginning, but through practicing and practicing and practicing, I started getting good in the electric boogie. By that time, what you gonna call it? I believe Flashdance had came out, and Normski became my hero at that time.
Oh. Oh, so that
So
was basically you saw him and you were like, whoa, that
yeah,
yeah.
it's all Flashdance, and the thing is that it's not like now that you got tapes and you can rewind and see it. No, you have to absorb what you saw in that film and try to remember. So all I remember was like little puppet, little motions and stuff like that. So I started trying to incorporate that into my style, right? And then I had seen some other cats in Citrus that were pretty decent, um, do their thing, and I started not biting because I was not trying to be like anybody, but I was trying to, see how I could get from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get the bug, the battle bug. And in Citrus, it was the perfect grounds for that because they used to have like after school parties every Friday. Not every Friday, but every 2 weeks, something like that. You'll have parties, and that's when I started honing my skills right there, and then just trying to battle everybody. You know what I mean? Before I ever went to any club or anything, that was my start, my breeding grounds right there. You know what I
So
mean?
how old were you there around that time?
I must have been
Because this
probably
is
like,
junior high school, right?
yeah. This had to be like me 11 or 12. Um, so I get to start knowing all these peoples and stuff, and I started getting a little bit of juice, specifically because of the graffiti and the hands. Because unfortunately back then, you get into battles and there's gonna be dudes that might not like you, and
Or they touch your face, or they
yeah, and then you have to
knock your hat
respond.
off your face. So yeah.
Yeah, you had to respond. So I had a nice little boxing repertoire in my arsenal, and some cats had to learn the hard way, unfortunately.
So you
So
had the respect from a lot of people already
yeah,
when you
yeah, I
put
was
on
I was getting
hands.
I was getting a little I was getting a little bit of a rep, not too bad of a rep because I was always, I would like to think that I was always like a cool dude, like to everybody, like I never had no problems with nobody. Like I got along with the B-boys the same way that I got along with the rockers and the new wavers and even the nerds. You know what I'm saying? I got along with everybody. Whereas a lot of heads, like the rockers and the breakers, couldn't stand each other. Come Halloween night, we used to meet up at this park called Parque Los Locos, the park of the crazies. And
Yeah.
yo, the wars right there, egg wars that would lead into fist fights, into stick fights. I mean, you name it. But me, I pretty much got along with everybody, so I didn't really have that many problems with too many people, except for some of the ones that were trying to hate on me because of the whole who's the best in school. You know what I'm saying?
And now
I
you're
didn't-
battling, like you said, at Friday parties that you would go to, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
say you were battling, you had the battle itch.
yeah. I had it badly. I had it badly, and then it became even worse the following year, the following school year, because by the time that the following school year came, that's when I had gotten nasty. You know what I mean? Like I had seen two guys. I had seen one guy first, which was my man Et Pop, my one of my closest homeboys. Um, at that time, I didn't know him, but he was also part of the Miami City Breakers. And when I saw this dude pop, bro, I was like, holy smokes! Like this dude was so fresh, b. Like I cannot even tell you. Like his waves were like some of the cleanest waves that I've ever seen in my life to this very day.
So at that moment when you saw him, did you feel like, damn, I'm whack? Or you felt like I gotta
Yeah,
get better?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I felt, I
Immediately you
felt,
were
I
like,
felt,
I'm whack.
yeah, I felt whack, and then top it off, you know, back then, unlike now, there's levels to the game. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're 12 years old or 11, a lot of the times the 13 and 14-year-olds, is much less the 16-year-olds, they don't want you around them unless you're somebody's little brother, little cousin, or whatever. So I'm looking at this dudes, Jackie, Pinocchio, Rubio, E.T., and these dudes were already ghetto celebrities. You know what I'm saying? Like they were the shit. And they're basically unapproachable with the exception of Jackie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, wow, man, like, I want to be this good, you know? But again, absorbing, and practicing, getting in front of that mirror and practicing like it was going to be my last battle ever. And putting it to the test, specifically in those after-school jams and even after school. Like, it was crazy because we were living in an era that even in between classes, we were battling sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, first period bell rings, and in between going to second period, that those little minutes, if you cross one of your enemies, boom, you're battling right there. Somebody banging on the wall, you know what I mean, or doing a beatbox or whatever. We were doing it right there. So it was just insane. And then 2 movies come out. Well, Wild Style had came out, but I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really a big fan of Wild Style. Star Wars, the documentary,
that was dope too.
Blew my mind. And I'm going to tell you the main reason why it blew my mind outside of the graffiti. There's a scene in Star Wars where Rocksteady's battling Dynamic Rockies, right? Mm-hmm. But besides the breaking, there's the uprock scene that they start rocking. Is Rocksteady versus Dynamic, right? And there's a dude in that scene with a dashiki that he's like the nastiest freaking dude in that whole battle. Like, if you see Star Wars, look out for the dude with the dashiki. Right. Connections. Connect the dots.
And you're like watching this.
That dude was out here, mama. That dude was out here. That dude was Juice TC5.
What?
That dude was Juice TC5.
Wow.
And I met Juice outside of Citrus Grove in my 84, 85 school year. Me and my boys ended up battling some cats outside of the school. We didn't have a box. We didn't have anything. But there was this dude that from the neighborhood that used to have a Trans Am. And he's one of the first guys that I know or that I can remember that ever had that loud booming system inside his car.
Is the Trans Am, is that the Pontiac?
Yes.
That has like a bird in the front, like a...
Yes, exactly.
You know what I'm talking about? The hood in the front?
Exactly.
That's so weird. My uncle had one of those.
Yep, exactly. So this dude parks his car right in front of our school and he's playing this song. I will never forget it. The song is by Eve Electro called Take a Bite. And he just played that song and played that song and played that song. And we battled to that song right there. But the opposing crew had this one kid that comes out trying to do uprock, right? And at the time I didn't, I really wasn't a rocker. I hadn't started uprocking yet. My boy Carlos, who was an incredible dope uprocker, he was I believe he was from Queens originally. He didn't happen to be in that battle. So as this kid's coming out showing off uprocking, none of us, we're like, oh shit, what do we do now? You know what I mean? And from behind, this dude jumps in and annihilates his ass. And it was Juice. And
that's the first time you saw him?
That's the first time I met him. But
you recognized him?
He looked familiar, but I couldn't. I mean, I wanted to think that it was him because of the way that he was rocking, but I couldn't believe that it was the same dude. But he was going out with my homegirl.
Oh, wow.
And the only reason why he even jumped into the battle. You know what I'm saying? So he took the, I mean, it wasn't even a battle, dude. Like he destroyed him. And then come to find out that that's just freaking TZ5. You know what I'm saying? So mind you, I loved rocking already because my boy Carlos was nasty as hell with it. I seen this other friend of mine, may he rest in peace, OD, that he was nasty with it too. But when I saw this dude do it, I'm like, yo, like this is a different freaking level now. You know what I mean? Like totally different. And I started trying to teach myself because again, none of these dudes want to teach you. You know what I'm saying? They'll practice with you. I mean, Juice, I didn't even try bother to approach him. But my boy Carlos, like, you know, like I'm like, yo, I want to learn. I'm like, yo, practice. I'm like, yeah, they can practice, but I need to learn the steps. So slowly but surely, I started observing and kind of like getting a little bit of an idea how to do it until I got good with it. And then it was bad because then not only were we doing, you know, Brooklyn rock battles, that's what we used to do. It was like, yo, let's do the Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? That's what we used to call it. Not only were we doing that, but then we started doing jailhouse rocking. You know what I'm saying? Full contact to dudes that we didn't like. Little Havana had a bad reputation for that style.
Will you guys use like tools and things or brass
Now
knuckles and
smack niggas up.
okay.
We were smacking niggas up and elbowing motherfuckers.
So that's like almost like slap boxing, but
Exactly. Perfect analogy. Slap boxing, but doing uprock. And we had a bad reputation for doing that. Like everybody, you know, for the most part, dudes were like, oh, they'll walk away. A few times we got into a couple of scuffles, but like that little Havana crew was notorious, so they didn't really want to mess with us too much. At least dudes our age, you know what I'm saying? We didn't try that with the older kids.
yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that year 84, 85 was amazing because again, oh, I forgot to say, I was just saying it, that 2 movies came out. First it was Breaking. We saw Breaking. I saw it again in Triangle Theater.
But Electric Boogaloo Breaking from Cali?
Yeah, the original
So you
one.
haven't seen Beat Street? You
No,
haven't seen Crush
no, because
Groove?
Beat Street came out after. Breaking came out before. So Breaking was the first one that came out. Mind you, we were already doing this before that movie was even being thought of. There's B-Boys pre-Breaking and then post-Breaking. Everybody else that then tagged along. So I'm part of that wave that was before the movie. But when the movie comes out, it created a freaking everybody wanted to do it. And that movie, even though I'm not a huge fan of it because it's corny, it's a comedy, it's mad colorful and
yeah, it's in California, so you can't picture it as a New York thing or Miami
thing. It wasn't grimy like I would have liked it to be, but I saw Boogaloo Shrimp and I saw Poppin Taco.
Rest in peace to Poppin Taco, man.
Rest in peace, the God.
That's when you were like, well, that's it.
Yo, when I seen them dudes, that scene when Taco comes out and challenges Shabba-Doo, may he rest in peace also, in the beach, and he does the hard pump, and I'm like, what the hell? Because I'm thinking I'm good, but I'm doing some puppet type style, you know what I mean? Like choppy waves. This dude is just throwing like the smoothest waves in the world, and I'm like, oh snap! You know what I'm saying? I'm bugging out. So now I'm kind of like,
is that the scene that when he comes out? I think at the end he does like telling him twice, like
yes,
I beat you twice.
Yes,
and I believe there's a cameo of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Van Damme.
Standing around.
That's hilarious. Yep.
So
Yeah.
you saw that part and you were like,
Yep. Well, that's actually the battle in the Radiotron, but I'm talking about when he first came out, which is when they were dancing in the beach. Oh my God, B. Oh my God, amazing. And then fast forward, and then you see Shrimp with the broom,
oh,
insane. So now, when I see this in the big screen, now I'm trying to really freaking be like those guys because I'm not like, shit. What the hell is this? You know what I mean?
now did you feel whack again? See
Of
that?
course, of
You were
course.
like, man.
I
So
felt like a big.
every time before you see something dope, was there some confidence in you? Like, yo, I'm nasty. But then you
Yo,
see
I was
them and
getting,
you're like,
I was getting a good reputation in searchers, and then I see this, and I'm like, yo, I'm a beginner, B. And it happened not only with the popping, it happened not only with the popping, it happened with graffiti also because I was, I've always been doing, like my styles or whatever. My cousin was sending me some pictures from New York City, so I was kind of developing my style. But in characters, I was getting pretty good until boom, one day I see this two dudes standing outside of the school rocking two jean jackets, the Slice and the Tony jacket. And I'm like, what the hell? When I seen those jackets, I freaked out. I almost fainted. And Cool C, that dude, like, he is my Obi-Wan. You know what I'm saying? My Obi-Wan. Without him knowing it, he was my Obi-Wan.
so
And then,
what year is that? Is that still around the same time the year when those
yeah,
movies came out?
84. And then not too long after that, around Citrus, there used to be a record store that when we used to skip, when we didn't skip to like downtown or westbound, we used to go to like little record store and just look through records. And I used to buy a lot of records, not to DJ because I wasn't a DJ at that time and didn't even have the money for that. But I used to like buy those 12 inches to practice. And like for example, like the Mexican Renegades of Funk, all that. I was
Now,
buying them.
which one, the Mexican, the Babe Ruth version or the Jelly Bean?
No, I didn't know the Babe Ruth version at that time. I was talking about the
Oh,
Jelly Bean version.
okay,
That's
okay.
the version that
Because
we knew.
the Latino was always listening to the Jelly Bean.
Right. Yep.
Because freestyle era and all that
Yeah,
was happening
exactly.
at the same
Exactly.
time.
So in that record store, as I'm digging, I come across this 12-inch by Rocksteady Crew, Up Rock, with the art of Devious Dose. And that, I'm like, damn, I felt bad already seeing Cool C shit. Now I'm like, holy freaking smokes. Like, so when it comes down to it, Cool C's my Obi-Wan and Dose is Yoda. You know what I'm saying? Like, to
So
me.
so now you've met so many people already, and you kind of like have a little hint of what's to come. Who would you consider were your mentors and teachers around that time that were, or whether they were your mentors and teachers that they didn't even know they were, either inspiration that you were like you just said right now, he was like your Obi-Wan Kenobi
Yeah.
and
I
stuff.
mean,
So who would you consider?
all right. So it's funny, like, to be very honest, true, like my mentor is my grandfather and my father. May they rest in peace. But unbeknownst to certain people, they became my teachers without them knowing. And in graffiti, it was those two. There's actually a couple more, but those are the two main influences in my style, specifically in my characters.
Mm-hmm.
In breaking, because I used to break too. I started breaking, but in breaking, um, Pax was like one of my idols, and what you call it, oh my god, action, Pax and action, and Corey. They were like, to me, they were like freaking incredible, and of course Kenny. You know what I'm saying? Kenny was the man. And then when it came to Up Rock, Juice TC5 number one, and then my boy Carlos, and my boy Zeke at that time. If I fast forward a couple of years later,
And we'll get there.
you know where I'm going. You
Yeah.
know where I'm going.
Hmm.
But and then in popping, I had two original ones that I used to look up to, which was Norski and Mr. Wave. I didn't get to Beat Street yet.
Oh,
But when I
okay.
saw Beat Street a month or two after breaking, number one, I don't care what anybody says, B. I've seen in social media, mad haters, and now everybody's trying to rewrite the past and talk this and talk that. I don't care what anybody says. B Street to me is the movie when it comes down to our culture. You know what I mean? I don't care what anybody says.
So, meaning out of all the movies, if you will have to, if there's an alien that shows up and goes, "Hey, name one movie that will describe the hip hop culture," you would say Beat Street.
B Street. B Street. It had, it's Hollywood. So of course there's a lot of corny stuff in it, a lot of stuff that's missing in it, especially after I actually read the actual script, the original script. It would have been a totally different movie if they would have followed Stephen Hager's original
Yes,
script.
yes.
But still, be like, what more iconic scene than that battle between New York City Breakers and Rocksteady at the Rossi? And I've heard some of my brothers that I got mad love for criticize the music, but I'm sorry. Breaker's Revenge by Arthur Baker
Oh,
is a freaking jam that you play anywhere. I'll die on the dance floor dancing to that song happily, bro. I put it to you like that. That's how much I love that song.
that's one of
So,
those tracks that you could hear 2 years later, and it'll probably even make you cry because
yo,
it takes
brother,
you immediately back to that
you
place.
don't. I mean, you don't understand me. Like I cannot even tell you
As soon
enough.
as you hear that little part in the beginning, break,
Break, break.
break.
Come on, man. And the song that it was following too that didn't come out on wax, but hopefully one day out there will put it out there. Shadows, insane. So when I see Mr. Wave come out and he's like, like all shaking and doing the
And then he
electric
does
joint,
that quick 360
right?
and yeah.
So I bit that the freaking electric shock stuff from Mr. Wave. I took it from him. I freaking took a bite out of crime. But what I did, I made it into my own move because what a lot of heads don't understand is that biting has always existed. It's just there's a difference. You could take a move and then reshape it, remold it, or whatever, and make it your own. That's totally different than somebody taking a move and then completely doing it exactly like Mr. Wave or Ken Swift or Legs or whatever. You know what I'm saying? A, B, C, D, E. You know what I mean? No. I saw that and I made it into my own specifically. You know what I mean? I was, a lot of people say, oh, we weren't dancing that in the 80s. Yo, electro funk, everybody was dancing to that in the 80s. Whoever says that it wasn't is a freaking filthy liar. You know what I'm saying? Because I saw them in the jams. I saw them in the jams getting down to Planet Rock. I saw them in the jams getting down to, Fix It in the Mix by Pretty Tony. I saw them to On the Fish, Play at Your Own Risk. They were all dancing to that. So they cannot tell me. And one of the main reasons we were dancing specifically to electro funk is because rap was too slow. You know what I'm saying? If you try to break to a Run DMC jam, it's just mad slow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then you had Rappers Delight had that disco feel in it.
Yeah, yeah, and,
The
and
other
rappers,
tracks that were going on
yeah,
around that time, I could
yeah,
remember.
and rappers delight wasn't really like a battle song. We were dancing specifically to battle music. You know what I'm saying? And like when you have songs like High Fidelity 3, B-Boys Breakdown. I mean, B-Boys Breakdance, and songs like that are like hard as hell. I mean, come on, man, you can't change that. You got Hashim with On the Fish. You know, those songs were like,
Were you listening to hip hop bebop already when they
of
came out?
course, of course, of course. Because now, by the time that I heard that, then I already knew Planet Rock. So it was that sound. It, matter of fact, we weren't even calling it. At least not me. I never knew it as electro funk. We was calling it bebop music, either bebop music or breaking music. You know what I'm saying? We weren't even really calling it hip hop, to be honest with you, until a little bit later. You know, but we were calling it bebop music. So you know, I saw waves moves, and then what I started doing is like doing that particular move to songs like "On the Fish," "Looking for the Perfect Beat," all these songs that had that accenting all that, not just completely shake. Just
And I know you
shaking.
were rocking to Body Mechanic for
Oh
sure.
my God! Of course, that's one of my anthems. So during this time, here's another smackdown that I'm thinking I'm fresh, but then I'm like, holy crap! Here comes my ultimate idol, my man Reversal. This dude I got here from California, and a lot of people, when I make the statement that I'm gonna make, are gonna think that I'm full of shit, and they're gonna think that I'm imagining stuff. But I'm here to tell you that the best papa that I've ever seen, the best papa that ever lived, ever, is that man right there, Reversal from California, from Carter Hay. This dude was not just a popper. Like what we witnessed at that time, this guy doing was like straight out of a science fiction movie, straight out of Alien, straight out of you know some Buck Rogers type shit. You know what I mean? He had moves be that actually gave me pain in the chest. He had one that we used to call the chest buster, that he would pop his chest out. He would start with his head, bah, 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 and it felt like explosions. It felt like he was really exploding. His freaking waves, his animation. And that's when I heard. I know that Taco was doing animation, but I didn't learn about animation until I saw Reversal, and he just became the man. Like in Miami, because you could argue on who was the best b-boy. Like there was a lot of dope b-boys out here. You know, my man Mikey C, my man Crazy Ricky from Miami City Breakers, Speedy, Kid Combination, Carlos Caroga from the Street Masters. May he rest in peace. I mean, there was a lot of dope dudes. James Rock.
But you haven't met none of them yet, right?
Some I had, but not like friendly. Like I had seen them already in clubs. Like I seen them at a Video Powerhouse. I saw some of them. A lot of them I saw in Castle Park, and then later on at what would become our Roxy, which was the Beat Club. So there was a lot of dope dudes out here, and it could be argued who was the best. Like I saw my man Crazy Ricky from Miami City Breakers do windmills that you couldn't even see him. And in a battle, this dude pulls out, as he's doing windmills, he pulls out a bag of Fritos and starts eating the Fritos while doing freaking windmills, bro.
Yo.
True story.
Holy.
These dudes were crazy. But there was always that doubt of who was the top dude. When it came down to popping, there was no doubt about it. Reversal was like...
So you forgot about literally everyone after you saw Reversal? Like you seen Poppin' Taco, Boogaloo
Yeah.
Shrimp, you seen everything,
Yeah.
Mr. Wave. Once you saw Reversal, you're like, let me forget about everyone else.
Once I saw Reversal and ET Pop.
So now you
Reversal
saw
here,
him face to face, or you saw him
yeah,
on
of
film?
course. I saw him battling. I saw him destroying. It wasn't even battles. It was annihilations. What I saw. He was the meanest because not only was he incredibly freaking dope, he was a scary dude. He was tall, skinny, look mean as shit, and he would go up to your face and be like, "You suck," boom, boom, and destroy you, embarrass you. I know a lot of dudes that stopped popping because of that guy.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And then he was a he was a member of the infamous Street Masters. You know what I'm saying? Of the
In
originals.
Miami?
Of the
The
original
original Street Masters.
the originals. You know? Not a lot of people know the story, but the Street Masters it was really a crew for a movie. Kid Freeze and Mr. Freeze had come out here to film a movie called Cry the City, which unfortunately didn't come out as it was. Something happened. There was mob money involved and what have you, and they got raided by the FBI. And then what could have been a very dope b-boy movie got shelved. And then when it finally came out, they recut it and they made it into like some gang band type stuff, and it was corny as hell. But the original Street Masters were going to be a crew in that movie. But then that crew, Freeze, actually turned it into a real crew, you know. And then you had, Reversal, you had Swipe, may he rest in peace, Comp, Omar, Awesome Paul. Awesome Paul was a part of the Street Masters.
I never knew that about Awesome Paul. Wow.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I gotta look for it, but I got a video. I got a video of them performing in the Miami Youth Fair, the kind of Youth Fair.
Ooh, I would love to see that. Because there's not a lot of footage of Awesome Paul out there, man.
Nah. And this is footage from '84. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know how the hell I got my hands on that footage, to be honest with you. But it's Awesome Paul, Kid Freeze. I can't remember who else is in that video, but yeah, man. Like again, the connected dots. You know what I mean? Kid Freeze was out here, and him and Reversal were like the freaking mega superstars in these places, And then of course, then you got Mr. Flex. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Flex and Ozrock and all this freaking New York dudes influencing a lot of us out here with the style and everything. You know what I mean? But then a revolution kind of happened because, like, the New York dudes were like the shit at the beginning, but then a little bit further back in '84, closer to '85, then a lot of the Miami dudes started getting like super nasty. You know what I'm saying? And then I know there was little wars here and there, with some notables, but that I'll let them tell that part of the story because that ain't my story.
Okay, but, now do you have any names, or you can't drop them names?
Yeah, I mean, well, for example, I know
you can say their names. You don't have to say the story. You can say the names. That way, I know. Because it's the past, and they might talk about it as well.
Yeah, well, I know one thing for sure. I know that Speedy and Kid Freeze at one point went head to head. I
didn't know that one.
There was a big rumor that Speedy and Crazy Legs were supposed to battle back then. It didn't happen until the '90s, but that was the rumor. You know what I mean? TDK versus Rocksteady. I've never really confirmed that with Speedy, so I don't know if that was true or not.
But that's what you were hearing.
But there was rumors, and I know for a fact that Legs has connections to Miami. I believe that he has family here in Miami, so I wouldn't really put it past it. I believe that Lino and Speedy battled at Backstreets back in '85 or '86. You know what I'm saying?
And I ended up witnessing them battle for the second time in New York City, and I was recording. I believe it was either the Incredible Breakers award ceremony or it could have been the Hitters Ball. I can't remember, but it was in a spot in the Bronx, and I remember Speedy Legs and Lino, they just started battling.
Yeah.
I'm watching it and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I remember that I forgot who pulled Speedy Legs to the side and was like, yo, chill. he's with us. And they told Speedy Legs, yo, he's with us, Lino. And I forgot who was the one that got cut in their forehead or their hand. I forgot.
Oh
But I
snap!
heard the 2 times that they battled. And I remember when I did the show with Speedy
Lino,
Legs,
I
he
believe
confirmed
Lino
it.
got cut. I believe Lino got cut in Miami in at the Backstreet battle.
And I think it
So,
happened again in the
oh
battle
damn!
in the Bronx because when they were one of them, I forgot who it was. And my bad if I'm getting it wrong, but I know somebody got cut the second time. And then I remember hearing Speedy Legs talking about it with all of us because I was down with Incredible Breaker at that time. And he was mentioning, he was like, man, the second time, they got cut, or I forgot who it was, but it was just trippy me witnessing that. I didn't know they had history from the 80s,
Yeah,
which that
yeah,
was official when I heard about it. I was like, that
yeah.
was a real battle.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
So
So,
around that time, you hear all these people battling and
yeah,
throwing
yeah,
down.
yeah.
So moving forward to late 80s, what was happening? Because I know, according to everyone that I've interviewed and people that were around that time, things started like kind of fading away and dying.
They started dying out in '85, mid to late '85. Things started getting a little bit,
So according to you, the fact that you lived it, what do you think happened that it started transitioning to the culture and the breaking, popping, all that started kind of fading away?
I
Was
tell,
something new came in? What
I tell,
happened?
I tell you exactly what it is, bro. We are our own worst enemies, and by that, I've heard throughout the years, everybody blames the media. Oh, the media killed breaking because it was coming out in commercials and so did it this commercial. Nah, B, we were our own worst enemies. And why do I say that? Because if you think about it, breaking at that time, you had the young generation, which is the little kids that cannot get out of their auntie's house on a Sunday, but they're breaking in front of their grandma and whatever, 8 to 10 years old or whatever. Then the 11 and 12, 13, 14 year olds that are in junior high are doing it. But you really didn't get past 18 years old. If you were 20 and you were still doing this, there was probably something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? Because once you reach 18, a lot of these dudes didn't want to get dirty no more. They want to go to the clubs. They want to get dressy. They want to get GQ'd out, and they want to go for the females. You know what I'm saying? We had our fly girls. I mean, like one of the main reasons, and I know a lot of your other older guests have said it. My reason for dancing was to get girls. I was the shyest kid in the world. You know what I'm saying? I'm still pretty shy. You know what I'm saying? But that was my way in. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, he's a
That built
keto.
your
Let's have a
confidence.
noodle.
It
You know
built
what I'm
your
saying?
confidence.
Yes,
You use that
100%.
tool to
One hundred
attract the
percent.
females.
So by the time that you're 18 years old, now you're rocking what are some of the, your Dracar freaking cologne and your Playboy cologne and whatever, Old Spice or whatever, your
Now I
daddy's
want to
freaking
show you a
cologne.
picture because you're talking about that, and I want to show you some of the stuff that I found that I'm like, yo, Chillski looks freaking dope. Like, talk to me about when was this around? Like,
That's 1986. That's
so
86 right
this is
there.
a little after then, right?
Yeah, that's a little bit after. The ones that you could tell that is me and my b-boy days. I got my jerry curl, my afro little jerry curls.
Okay, so this is like I know when you were really young.
Oh
Talk
yeah.
to me about that picture. What's that?
Oh, that picture is me and my little brother rocking our Bruce Lee shirts. We had just gotten them from Zares, and this is during my birthday. I think I was just turning 9 years old right here, but you can see the, Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee.
And nobody can lie that you're not a fan from since you were
Nah,
a little kid.
nah, nah, since then, dude.
And I have some other stuff here. This is probably the 90s. I can see the dress code right here, right?
That's probably 1990 or 91. I believe that's
Okay.
91 because I believe that's during my
Yeah, you
daughter's
look
first
so
birthday.
freaking dope. Yo, like my uncles and my older cousins, they used to all rock like that.
Yeah,
Those with
that's
the
my
bucket hats that you never see
yeah,
their eyes. Like,
yeah, yeah.
you
That's my
always cover the
MC
eyes.
phase right there. That's my MC phase.
That's so fresh. What about this right here?
Oh, that's 89, I believe.
Also,
That's
this is
89.
approaching the 90s. I'm gonna
Yeah,
start throwing more pictures out there. That right
yeah.
here.
88.
Okay, so this is all late 80s.
Yeah.
And this,
Ah,
I had to throw that one right there.
that's 80, that's 84, 85. Funny story about
Yo,
that one. Funny story about that one. That is actually my father's Adidas suit. And I wanted an Adidas suit so badly because we were poor. You know what I mean? Like my father was making decent money, but my father was, like he was never really in the house. He was always working. So my mom, bless her soul, she was the one that would get us our clothes or whatever. We didn't have that much money. So I'm seeing all this dope B-boys in my school with Adidas suits or whatever. So I'm like, yo, fuck this. And I stole my father's Adidas suit.
now does it
And
have?
then
What does it have? A piece in the back?
yes, that's what I was gonna get to that.
Okay,
Because
that shit
so
is official.
I stole my father's freaking Adidas suit, and then like a knucklehead, I freaking went and I did a piece behind it. Boy, let me say that did not end well. My father was not happy about that shit. But
Oh,
I was
who did
watching.
that piece?
I did.
Oh
I
my
did.
god!
Yeah,
So
I
how did
did.
he see it? How did he find out? He was looking for his Adidas suit.
Yeah, because finally, winter came, and he loved to wear that specific. That was like his favorite Adidas suit. He had a lot of them, but that was like his favorite. And I guess December comes in, and he couldn't find it, and he was like, mad. And then finally, he went into a closet, and I got caught, and it was not cool.
He
He
gave me
was
the Cuban
pissed.
sazon after that right
He
there.
was pissed, boy. He was pissed. But yeah,
Wow.
man.
Now I know. Now I know some other pictures that I'm like, yo, this guy, like, he walking around looking a little gangster here. What's this about right here?
Oh yeah, that was that era, man. That's
What year was that?
I want to say that's 87. Yeah, that's 87.
Also, this
Yeah,
is after all that.
yeah. Unfortunately, once 86 hits, I was late to get the memo. Breaking is not cool, you know. I was still trying to go to like the clubs and what have you. I remember it was late 85, and I went to what we call our Roxy, which was the beat club. And I remember going there with my cousin, and I keep thinking that it's my brother, but my brother says that he doesn't remember that. But we go in and we walk inside the beat club, and there's like 3 people inside, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And at first I thought that we had gotten there too early, but the more we wait, there's nobody in there. There's like 2, 3 b-boys on the side practicing moves that you never saw that at the beat. You never saw. I mean, if you saw dudes practicing on the sidelines, they were toys. You know what I'm saying? Because the big boys were always in the circles. You know what I'm saying? So that night, I see some dudes like on the side practicing some chairs and a bridge and what have you. And I see 2 young ladies that walked in, were in there for a hot minute, and then they dipped. And I'm like, yo, like it's crazy. I wasn't at the beat club every Friday because the distance, it wasn't close to my crib. And my parents weren't trying to take me to no club. You know what I mean? Like I was lucky that, a couple of times my sister served as chaperone, and the other times I went with my boys, mainly Trix and Zeke, in their stolen Cadillacs. Trix was a master of stealing Cadillac, so every once in a while they would pick me up and we would go there. But I wasn't a steady
Yeah, like a
freaking.
regular. Like
Yeah,
a
I wasn't a
regular.
regular. So I think I hadn't gone to the beat club maybe like in a month or 2. The last time that I had gone, I think I had seen Roxanne Shante perform. And so when I go back, like it blew my mind. Like there was nobody there. So I was like, what the fuck? And then not long after that club closes, then they open another club in Hialeah, which I'm not a Hialeah type of guy. Like that's Speedy's area. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm Little Havana, so we used to have beef. But
So you haven't met Speedy Legs yet?
no, I have met Speedy already. But we, you know, again, he's older than me. So Speedy knows me from coming down to my neighborhood. He used to go to there was this park called Great Black Park, and they used to do jams out there. DJ Nice and Nasty was always there spinning. Zeke, Mr. Flex, Speedy. So he knows us from being like the little ill clique from Little Havana that was always out there sizing everybody up. You know what I'm saying? A
So
lot
do
of my
you
dudes.
remember when you first met him? Like first time
Um,
you saw him?
I want to say that it was right there. It was either in Grapeland Park or Video Powerhouse. I saw Speedy many times, many times. But again, you know, me,
Hialeah, Little
me, no,
Havana.
no, and not only that, but again, what I said before earlier about the levels. You know what I'm saying? Like I was a shorty. He was an older cat. I was 13, 14. He was 16, 17. You know what I'm saying? So those dudes, I looked at them like almost like gods. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't talk to these guys, you know what I'm saying? Which
Mhm.
I wish that my mentality wasn't like that, because who knows if I would have been able to chat it up and become like good friends with my boy Reversal at that time, you know what I'm saying? And if he would have taken me under his wing at that time, I mean, I could only wish, because I would have been an amazing freaking popper if that would have happened, you know? But it didn't. So, you know, but I did see Speedy a lot. I mean, there were celebrities. There were celebrities. And when the B Club closes, this club in Hialeah opens. It's called Illusions, and Illusions was dope. Illusions was very dope, but you could already tell that shit was changing. You know what I'm saying? Like dudes were still dressing the part. There were still B boys. You still got, you still got some of that flavor, but now it's kind of like changing and not for the betterment. Now it seems like the scene is getting a little bit more violent. You know what I'm saying? And dudes are trying to act more hard rock. You know what I'm saying? Like there was that element at the other spots, but not as bad. You know what I'm saying? Right here, you felt it. So I went to Illusions maybe 2 or 3 times, and then I stopped. And then I remember we have a festival out here in Miami called Calle Ocho Street Festival, which, as a matter of fact, it happened today.
Damn, that's
Um,
been going on that long?
yeah, Calle Ocho's been for years. I think I want to say it started either in 80, 81, but I could be wrong. But I used to love going to that festival because that was another place where I used to be able to battle everybody. Because like I couldn't travel as much because of the ride situation. Come Calle Ocho, you had dudes from all over Florida. I mean Miami specifically, and even Broward come down. You know, so this specific Calle Ocho 86, I'm still doing my thing. I'm still popping and stuff like that, and people are already like looking at me weird. You know.
Yeah, because you
And
didn't get the memo you said earlier, right?
yeah, I didn't get the memo. I had already people had told me, "Oh, you still with the breaking shit?" And "Oh, you still rocking Lees?" You know what I mean?
That's
Like
played
I,
out. That's played out.
but but I didn't take those dudes serious because to me they were whack. Because these dudes that had told me that had became like new wave dudes, and like I'm sorry, I'm not gonna freaking put a shirt and tie it up over here with some freaking shiny pendant and then put makeup in my eye and frizzy hair. You know what I mean? Like that
Oh
just
man.
wasn't me. Like that's the original goths. Like the goth people, like the vampires or whatever.
The punkers, the new wave
Yeah.
heads.
Yeah. So, a lot of the dudes that were telling me that were becoming that. And I'm like, yo, like I stick with my style, bro. Like I ain't becoming that. That's some weird stuff, you know? So I get to Cayocho, I'm popping, and I remember that I battled two dudes, but I specifically battled this Morenito from Broward, who was really good. And he came with a posse. And I'm not gonna lie to you, B, I was a little bit scared because those dudes, like, not only were they a little bit older, but yo, like one of them dudes was freaking holding a freaking Indiana Jones freaking whip, a bull whip, and then the other one was holding like the walking stick. Later to find out that it wasn't a walking stick, you pulled it out and it was a freaking sword. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I had
So
one of those.
yeah, so these dudes are right here. They seeing me battle their boy. I burned them, but it was cool. Like it was let me not say I burned them. I beat them, but it was friendly. Like it wasn't an intense battle. Like what I was used to. It was more like an almost like an exchange. And then he gave me that, and then he actually says this to me. He's like, "Yo, I can't believe that there's actually somebody popping out here." And I'm like, "What you mean?" And he's like, "Yo, like nobody's doing this shit no more. You're the only person that I've seen doing this out here." And I was like, "Wow!" Like right there, the memo was served. And I remember feeling shitty that day, B, because I kept on hearing it. I kept on hearing it, but I didn't want to believe it. You know what I mean? And I loved it so much. And it's like kind of retracking back to what we were originally saying about what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of these dudes became 18 years old. They didn't want nothing to do with it. And those same dudes that were at one time superstars started dissing it and started dissing the younger generation that was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So dudes like myself and others of my age now are like, oh shit, like I'm getting to be close to how good you are, but we can't show it to you because now you guys don't even want nothing to do with this. Like, what's up? You know what I'm saying? So it was like a slap in the face, if you will, because I felt like I was left with unfinished business. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a fire at that time, B, that I wanted to really test myself, and so I had certain regrets. The only two dudes that I would never battle because I looked up to them was Reversal and ET. And number one, I know they will kill me. They'll burn me easily. But
Even when you got to the illest of your
yeah,
game.
yeah. I think that I have much more to go. But even then, there was that huge respect. Like
Yeah, you don't want to battle like your sensei or like.
yeah,
So you have the loyalty as a martial artist, watching
yeah,
movies and knowing like
exactly, brother,
the
exactly.
sensei. You're like, nah, I'm
Exactly.
not
Like
gonna.
you seen how Mike Tyson just loves Muhammad Ali and that
Yes, the
respect that
respect.
he has. Like
Yes.
that's how I
Even
felt.
when they ask him like if he thinks he could have beat him, he still will say Muhammad Ali.
Yep, yep.
Because did you ever see that interview that he did on his? I don't know if you ever seen the Mike Tyson. It's called Hot Boxing, and it's a pretty dope podcast. It's his new podcast.
Mm.
You have to see that.
Oh, I
He
gotta watch it.
has, dude. You have to see this because it's amazing. It even brought tears to my eyes because
Wow.
I've always been a Mike Tyson fan, and
Yeah, I mean, that's
in
my
the
dude.
podcast they ask him. Well, I forgot that guy's name, but he's a comedian. He came out and he's the white boy from White Man Can't Jump.
Oh, Woody Harrelson.
Mm, no, from that movie. It's the guy with Omar Epps, and it was something school high. It's an old movie in the 90s,
Hmm.
and I forgot his name. My God, I forgot that comedian's name. But he had him on the podcast. He has his own podcast, so he was asking Mike Tyson basically. Now he didn't ask. He made a statement telling Mike Tyson he was the greatest of all time, and he said, "No, I'm not." And he said Muhammad Ali, and then he started bawling because he said Muhammad Ali will die as a boxer. Mike Tyson will not die as a boxer. It's such a dope. I'll send you
I
the
know
link.
who
I'll
you're
find it.
talking about. You're talking about I think that he's from Brooklyn. I think he's from New York though.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
talks
he's
like
got the
he's
heavy accent. I know exactly who you're talking about.
yeah, he's telling him about it, and he's
Yes,
like,
I know
nah.
who you're talking
And
about.
Mike Tyson just started like bawling because he said he will not die. Like Mike, like once he hears that he will not die, like Muhammad Ali will die
Yeah.
doing that. Like
Now,
he wouldn't die for it.
Mike not only respects Muhammad Ali, but Mike respects all his elders. Like, you talk about.
Even Sugar Ray Leonard too, man.
And Sugar Ray Duran, he loves Duran.
Yes,
You know,
yes. So you had that
he's
same type of feel
yes,
with
yes,
Reversal, ET, and
yeah.
whoever you saw.
Those dudes to me were the ultimate, and I could never see myself even come remotely close to disrespecting them at any given moment, because when you challenge somebody, that's whether you do it respectfully or disrespectfully, you're still disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? You're still challenging somebody. You're still telling you, hey, let me see how good you really are.
Yeah,
Or
you're putting their rep on the line
yeah,
anyways
yeah,
because you
you know,
might beat him. Who knows?
yeah, you
And
never
you don't
know,
want to have
but
that feeling like,
yeah,
damn, I just burned my
yeah,
master.
and see, like I didn't have that feeling towards anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like those dudes that I was down with, that you know would say, "Oh, I'm better. So and so is better than you." Oh, word, so and so is better than me. Let's go, boom. Whether it was in one of the after school dances or after school, or we met up at Great Park, or in the P field. If you said that so and so was better than me, so and so had to prove it. You know what I'm saying? And I hate to sound like I'm patting myself in the back in this one, because I'm big in like bragging and stuff like that. But like in Citrus, there was one point that they couldn't touch me. You know what I'm saying? They just couldn't. Like, it came to a point that I was like, yo, B, like, that's it. Like, you're gonna have to take this title from me. You know what I mean? As far as popping, and then in up rock. You know what I mean? Like, I got really really good up rocking, because when before before I really knew the steps, I still saw what the possibilities of it. You know, and a lot of these dudes was throwing like a single burn, like a little jig, and then going down. Grab you, throw you, go down, and I just saw Wing Chun being applied to it. You know what I'm saying?
Ah, I see
I
that.
saw I saw nunchucks being applied to it. I saw throwing stars and mad knives, and at the same time, blocking, and parrying and stuff like that. So I saw many possibilities. So once I got comfortable with the footwork part of it, then I just basically had to apply the hands and just the b-boyism. You know what I'm saying? Like, right there, back then, you knew who a b-boy was just by the way that he walked. You know what I'm saying? And when we weren't breaking, when we weren't popping, when we were just freestyle dancing, just the way you move your hands, you're like posing.
Hmm.
Hence all the pictures, everybody like, like this in a picture or whatever. That's the b-boyism. You became those characters in the trains on the walls. So I started applying a lot of that to my style. And it came to a point that by the time that 86, 87 came, I stopped kind of like popping as much, but up rocking, I didn't stop. I didn't stop up rocking until my daughter was born. Because
So now
then,
you were talking about you saw at the Calle Ocho festival the dude that you battled,
yes,
and you started feeling a little turned down because everyone's saying it's played out and
yeah,
nobody does that anymore. After a couple of years, you said 86. once you started approaching the 90, what was going on in your life? Were you still active dancing? You still kept pursuing it? Like,
Yeah, well, that's the thing about me. I've always been consistent when it comes down to this culture. Like, even though my popping and breaking stopped, I was still doing all the new dances of that time. The prep, the WAP, you know what I'm saying?
do you get into the New Jack Swing era?
Yeah, I was doing all of that, but I was doing it different though, because like for example, even house dancing, like house started coming in 88, 89, you know what I'm saying? And I found that it went hand in hand with uprock, you know what I'm saying? It
Yeah,
went
because of
hand in hand.
the back and forth
Yeah,
style of
yeah.
steps, right?
So whereas a lot of people will just jumping up and down, I just kept rocking. You know what I'm saying? I kept rocking. Like when freestyle became freestyle, because I mean that's another story in itself.
And what other dance? Because you were gonna say other dances.
Oh yeah, I mean like you had the prep, you had the WAP, especially in '86, the WAP. We used to do the Smurf. During the breaking era, we used to do the dog and the Donkey Kong, the Running Man.
Were you into lofting?
Huh? No,
Were you,
no,
nah,
no, no, no,
like the huevo style? None of
no.
that.
I actually was doing some moves out here in the clubs at that time, and they asked me, "Yo, are you from New York?" And I'm like, "Nah, I've visited there. I got family there, but I'm not from New York." And they were like, "Yo, because you dance like a New Yorker, you lofting." And I'm like, I had no clue. Like I've heard so much about lofting, but I don't know how it looks like. So if I've done something similar to it, is by sheer luck because I never done that. But and then the huevo dance. I mean, when that song "Dale Huevo" used to come out, like we used to do like some stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the
So
actual
you
dance.
never rocked the huevo pants. You never rocked the big hats, the
No,
spiky.
no. Like, well, see the huevo style as I started learning comes a lot from kung fu too.
Yes,
So some of the baggy pants,
like the
some of the
parachute
jogging
pants.
suits, I was rocking that, but not because of that style.
And
Like
I know you had those Chinese kung fu shoes with the brown bottom.
those were my original b-boy shoes. My original b-boy shoes, because and obviously because of obvious reasons, I'm a freaking fanatic, but they were like $3, totally affordable. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
So
yeah.
it, I had my first b-boy shoes were my kung fu slippers, and they never stopped being my b-boy shoes. Then I bought and there was a store out here called Zaire's, and in Zaire's it was like a cheap store like a Walmart or a Kmart, a lot of bubble stuff, but bubble stuff you could make it look fly if you know how to do it.
If you know how to
So
rock it, right?
yeah, so
Nobody's gonna question you.
my very first official b-boy shoes were a pair of MA100s, bubble as hell. But I dressed them up. I put like spikes on the little holes for the what you call it for the laces. I put the fat laces on, made them mad chunky, and they look like freaking pumas. You know what I mean? They're dope as hell. And then later I graduated onto the Chuck Taylors, which I hated. Man, I hated those Chucks. They were so
Is that the
uncomfortable.
flat ones? The Chuck Taylor flat ones?
Yeah, the Converse. They were so uncomfortable. Nothing that I did, whether it was popping or breaking or top rocking, like they were so uncomfortable to me. So
So that was the style. So you were still trying to rock it, right?
yeah, I tried to rock them, but it was giving me blisters. You know what I'm saying? It was giving me
Were
blisters.
you
So
into the Elysees?
no,
You
no,
remember the Elyse had like
of
a little
course. The
Orange
Yeezys,
basketball.
the Adoras, all of that. That was my ex-wife used to have
Yeah,
the
my mom bought
jumpers.
me one of those,
Yeah,
and I was
yeah,
so upset because I wanted the Chinese shoes,
yeah.
and she was so upset because she's like, they're in New York. They were like $2 or 250. I
Oh
forgot.
man.
And I didn't want the Elise. She's like, oh, these are compared to. I wanted them Kung Fu shoes because I felt when I tried the Elises on, they were felt heavy on me
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I was already a martial artist. I was already flipping, so I felt that if I wore those, they were too heavy.
Yep,
But when I wore the Kung Fu shoes,
yep.
I could call it Kung Fu shoe. I
You're
felt like I
flying.
was
You're
like,
flying, bro. You're
yeah,
flying.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, my shoes. My number one shoe was always Pumas, the freaking suede ones. That when my mom bought me those first Pumas, I was in heaven. Not only was I rocking out an official pair of B-boy shoes, but they were comfortable and I could do whatever on them. And then I used to like somewhat cheap. Like I used to go to the whatchamacallit, to the dances, and I used
Mhm.
to have my little bottle of talcum, baby powder, get a little bit of baby powder, throw it on the floor. And yo, I used to glide like freaking turbo, bro, like Boogaloo Shrimp. Yo, like no, I could. There was nothing. And it was good for the b-boys too because they were able to spin even faster when you used to throw that baby powder on the floor. You know. But yeah, man, the Pumas were my greatest shoes. I used to also have Adidas Campus, and then finally the Sheltos, which the Sheltos were for us were expensive as hell at that time. They were like $50. I mean, you'd say $50 right now, that's cheap, but back then it was a lot of money.
I believe Run DMC made it expensive
Ah,
because they weren't that. I remember being a little kid and they weren't that expensive until then.
well,
After
I
Run DMC, then that's every Adidas. I never had
yeah,
like shell
I don't
top
know,
ones.
I don't know because I remember them. I remember them being expensive before they ever came out with my Adidas and all that. But who knows? You're probably right. Um, but even the Sheltos, like I like the way they look. I hated dancing with them.
Yeah, I don't like them either.
Yeah, I hated dancing with them.
Some people
But
hate it on me. I'm like, I don't like them.
yeah, I don't. I never liked how they felt on my feet. Um, but
Are you flat footed by any chance?
yes, I am.
Ah, that's it. I'm flat
Yep,
footed too.
yep.
So anything flat footed that if it's narrow,
Mm-hmm.
oh, blisters galore on my
Yes.
pinkies and on my big toes. So
Yep. Exactly.
yeah, that's the
Exactly.
worst thing to do if you got flat feet. You're
Yep.
dancing on them narrow shoes.
Yep.
In fact, I can't even rock like Nike Air Maxes, um, even Reeboks, like narrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a few Pumas, but I lean more on Adidas because now I notice Adidas are kind of like
Yeah.
they're wider now
Yeah.
compared to Nike and Puma.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
you were talking about 86. Moving forward towards the 90, and you started noticing everything started like changing. What was going on in your life around 80, 89,
Well,
approaching the 90s when breaking and everything started coming back?
well, going back to 86 because that is very important. What happened to me at that time? Um, I started going the gangway. You know, started hanging out with you know my dudes. You know what I mean? And my involvement with gangs was funny though because I was never into crime per se. Like I've never I've never robbed nobody, you know what I'm saying? Like I've never done anything of the sort. I've threatened people that I was gonna rob them, but that was on some jailhouse talk type shit. Um uh but my thing was fighting. Like if they needed backup and they needed my help, like I was always there with my hands. But as far as like, stealing cars and doing all that other stuff, I never really was involved. I've never even freaking smoked a blunt in my life. You know what I'm saying? I've never smoked, not even cigarettes. Um,
So were you finding your tribe? Is that what was going on? You were finding us like your crew, or maybe your crew got into it and
yeah,
you had to join it because that's your crew, that's
yeah,
your peoples.
yeah. Most of the fights that I've ever had in my life weren't even my personal beefs with somebody else's beef that I involved myself in or whatever. I mean, whatever. But yeah, that was happening. But then some positive stuff happened also, which is the first time that I fall in love. You know what I'm saying? I fall in love with a chick, and it was love at first sight, and she kind of took me away, at least for a while, away from all that nonsense. And what was dope also about this particular female, because I'm a I'm a freaking hip hop head, right? And all I listened to was New York music. You know what I'm saying? New York, the New York sound that was coming out that, I would either get it on tape or some of the DJs that would follow was playing that sound or what have you. But in '86, Miami also starts changing uh, and becoming like coming into like their own identity per se. Hence with the music, the what became the Miami sound, the Miami bass started around that time. Which the Miami bass in itself is, you know, I call it when they call it bass music. Um, to me, that was, and I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this from my Miami people, but to me, that was a name that came out of ignorance. Miami bass, and the reason why I say that is because a lot of the dudes that came into the hip hop world after the fact, after b-boy and after breaking, they didn't know the terminology. They didn't know it. They didn't know the name hip hop. They had no clue.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of what we call hip hop records, the hip hop sound of that time, they were referring to it as bass. So original Miami bass is not even from Miami. Original bass music is from New York. It's Tila Rock. It's yours. It's Run
Yep.
DMC, Together Forever. You know what I'm saying? It's those sounds. It's Mantronic with all that 808 sound. All those heavy based New York records that was coming out at that time. Original concept with Can You Feel It and all that. Now, mind you, there was people in Miami already making hip hop records. My man Mighty Rock. You got Amos Larkins and the Godfather, Pretty Tony. All those people was making records, and Amos Larkins and Pretty Tony specifically were making electro funk records and freestyle, with Trenier and Debbie Deb, and stuff like that. But then around '86, in that same club that I told you, Illusions, and it might have been even before, but I know this because I heard it on the radio. I was supposed to go there that night. A group from California comes to perform at Illusions. Amazing V, Mr. Mix, and Fresh Kid Ice, known to everybody as Two Live Crew. And again, they're from California. Later come to find out that there were New York imports that were living in California. I don't know about all of them, but I know that Amazing V and Fresh Kid Ice.
Was Luke around that time already or no?
He was, but he wasn't what he became. He was down with the Ghetto Star DJs, and he wasn't really a big deal. He was an up and coming promoter, but he had the wise vision of seeing these guys and basically bring him in. And next thing you know, those guys are recording with him. But if you hear Two Live Crew's first records, you're gonna be like, "That's Two Live Crew." Nah. They had a song called Revelation that is dope as hell. Has nothing to do with booty shaking, no nothing. As a matter of fact, it had a great message. And then you have Bebop, beep, 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 bop. And that's another dope electro rap record, you know? But then a little bit after that, once Tula Crew does the recordings, and then you have the other ones that I've mentioned, then 86 going on 87, then you started seeing more and more Miami rappers getting involved in the scene and making more of what became known as the Miami sound. The only thing is that a lot of people don't remember, even the Miami bass sound of that time was really slow. It was hip hop, but it was, very bass oriented, and the lyrics weren't up to the standard of a New York type hip hop. What was dope for me at that time is that same girl that I fell in love with, even though she was from Miami, she was a New York female, you know what I mean? So 86, when she goes to vacation to New York, she brings me down a tape that had freaking the beginnings of the South Bronx versus Queens Wars, which is BDP versus MC Shan,
Yeah.
The South Bronx, the South Bronx, the bridge is over, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that tape had so much dope stuff. It had ultramagnetic MCs, you know what I'm saying? This tape didn't even have Kane at the time. Like, Kane didn't come out until like later. It had Boogie Down Productions. It had Black Rock and Ron, I think is his name. Had Bismarck, may he rest in peace. It had MC Shan.
What about the Treacherous 3 and all of them?
No, because that was past his prime already.
Okay.
This is the new generation.
Also, it's getting like you said, the younger one are getting older now.
Yeah.
So
this is
late 80s.
This is now what came to be what us elders called the golden era. The younger generation calls the 90s the golden era, but for us, the golden era is 86 to 88, 89. Actually, in 89, it started getting a little bit corny. But 86 up to 88 is Eric B. and Rakim, it's Boogie Down Productions, it's Cool G Rap, it's Bismarck, Audio 2, MC Light, Antoinette, Ultramagnetic, Slick Rick. Come on, man. Like, that was hip hop. Hip to the hop. So that's what I gravitate to. I don't gravitate to that Miami sound. To me, it
And how you felt? You felt it was corny?
Yeah, I really did. Like,
because I like something you said earlier. You said, I don't know if you noticed, you said electro rap. Yeah. I've never heard it in that term.
Yeah, electro rap.
Because when I heard it, I thought I already heard electric funk before Miami bass. I have family in Kendall, Miami. Mm-hmm. When I used to go to the summer, late 80s, as a little kid, they'll be playing Miami bass. And when I was listening to it, I was like, that's like sped up electro funk.
Yeah.
Like kind of like rapping fast. And because out here, you could kind of hear like the electro funk popping feel in the music. So I didn't really, it felt just like fast forward. I heard it, of course, girls liked it, but I like when you said electro rap. Like, never heard it that term.
Because electro rap, even though I don't know if it's a genre per se,
I've never heard that genre, but it sounds official.
Yeah, like to me, there was a specific sound that was coming out in 83 through 84, which was hip hop. You had dope MCs rapping over dope ass electronic funk beats, like CD3, Get Tough. You had oh my God, what's the name of this? My man. You had the Ultimate 3 MCs with What Are We Gonna Do About It? Um, One for the trouble, Davey DMX. You had a particular style that not a lot of people talk about that was going down at that time. Whereas Run DMC was more grind down and more basic with not too much sounds, hard beats, but not really 808. They had the DMX sound.
Mm-hmm.
This other sound was a little bit different. It was a little bit more electronic. The God, Mantronics with MCT. You know what I'm saying? Fresh is the word, needle to the groove. You know what I'm saying? That sound was a sound that, like that was my shit, dude. Like I can't I can't say how dope enough that sound was. And that's where I left off with my B-boy stuff. And then when I start hearing the Eric B's, the Rakim with, Eric B for President, my melody, and I hear, KRS-One talking about the South Bronx and the bridge, like it was the perfect continuation, even though it wasn't now electronic, it was a little bit more sample oriented,
Mm-hmm.
but it was still danceable.
Yeah.
It was still danceable. And that's what hip hop is missing nowadays. You know, that eventually I'll get to it. But I think that we kind of like got lost in the sauce in the sense that we want to call certain things real hip hop because the
Mm-hmm.
lyrics are mad dope and what have you. But shit, Eric B. and Rakim was real hip hop, as real as it gets, and I still dance my ass to it. I can't dance my ass off to some of those jams that are just like, you know, they
Yeah,
just
I think it's more of a listening type of music
head
because
nodding. You know what I
I
mean?
had songs that
Yeah,
I had my cousins that were older than me. They will hand me down tapes, and some of the tapes it were dope beats, dope lyrics, but they will tell me, yo, break right now. And I couldn't feel it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was just hearing it, but then of course, Know the Ledge, Eric B, and all the when I started hearing that, I was like, yo, I want to dance to that.
Be in 80, 86, 86, 87 era when, you know, I Know You Got Soul came out, bro. When I Know You Got Soul and
Mm-hmm.
you
Right.
had freaking Cool G Rap with Road to the Riches and stuff like that. And Kane with Raw.
Ooh.
That's when you had the posses, the whole posses coming to dance. Everybody's decked out with the dookie chains and the rings and then now is a different generation of b-boyism because now we're not really breaking, but still there was dudes like jumping up and down and doing flips, and I mean you could see it in Big Daddy Kane's videos with Scuba Scrap and all those
Yeah.
guys. Like it was danceable hip hop. It was
That
mad.
was like the era of baggy clothing, right?
Yes,
When they
yes.
got into baggy
Not
clothing.
not too baggy, but baggy enough. Like around that era, I was rocking like a lot of my jogging pants, like the cotton sweatpants and stuff like that. I don't know if I sent you any of those pictures, but
What
you'll see.
about this right here?
Yeah, that's kind of around that era. That's a little bit later. That's closer to 88. But
But I still got the style though.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah, 100%. And that's one of the rare occasions that you will see me rocking a pair of Nikes. Because
Uh,
at that time I was strictly Adidas. They
what
used to
about
call
this
me
right here? What about this right here?
oh, that's
Oh,
91.
this is the 90s already.
Yeah, that's 91 because my daughter was already born. Yeah, my daughter was
I
born
think
already.
that's the first time. Well, not that time, but I remember when I first saw you, you were performing with that gi. I think it might have been something else, but I
I had
remember you were dressed like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Cero, Cuba, and myself, we was rocking custom made kung fu shoes. That was like silver and gold. Yeah, yeah.
So
But
official.
like even when I used to boogie, like back in the day, like one of my outfits was the kung fu suits because they were cheap. They were cheap. They didn't cost that much. They were definitely cheaper than getting a Puma suit or an Adidas suit. You know. So I
And
used to
this
put
right
the
here as a Bruce Lee fan,
ah.
man, that's so official.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
my statue.
and I know exactly that statue, man. When I saw it, I was like, "Oh snap!
Yep.
Look at that,
Yeah,
brother."
yeah, that's my old Bruce Lee room right there.
But yeah, so now moving on to the 90s, like going into the 90s, or is there anything you remember that you kind of remember? Because remember, you say you fell in love. So I know
Yeah,
that girls start taking you away from the scene
yeah.
because,
Well,
you fall in love. You kind of stop, kind of like,
yeah. Well, what I was gonna say about '86 is that it was an important year because number one, breaking was supposedly dead for me for everybody, but then I fell in love. This lady introduces me to the newer hip hop that's coming out at that time. At the same time, I stopped drinking. I had started drinking very, very early in life, freaking 10, 11 years old, and, taking shots from my boys and drinking amaretto and all this crazy stuff. And then I got drunk like a skunk one night and never to go back to drinking ever again. So I haven't drank since 1986.
that's
Nothing.
amazing.
No, no.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you,
Hell yeah.
brother. Yeah,
Keep
no
it
alcohol.
going. Keep it
Yep,
going,
yep,
man.
yep. And then that's on the positive side. On the negative side, then you had that whole gang element that was rising. That was coming back because Miami always had gangs. Even when I was a shorty, not involved at all in hip hop. Just like in New York, they had the Spades and the Skulls and all that. They had gangs out here too. Like I mentioned already, the Bayfront Boys. You had the Leopards. You had the Bloody Babes. You had all that gang stuff going on out here. The Omegas. Those are the gangs. Well, I'm a shorty, but then around late '85, early '86, then you got the resurgence of other gangs. You know what I mean? Latin Kings. You have all these other cats that came afterwards. You had Miami Carol City, MCC, which is a huge unfuckable with gang. You know what I'm saying? Like that gang was
Do you ever hear about the Kendall Crooks?
Kendall Crooks.
They were called KCs, the KCs.
No, but it all depends what era they came out because, see, I'm talking about an era where Kendall didn't even exist.
Ah,
Kendall was pretty much a part of the Everglades at that time.
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so the
So maybe
Kendall Crooks
later.
came in the 90s, yeah, because I
Yeah. So
remember
that's
when I went to Miami in the summer of 92. Yes, the summer of 92, because I remember my cousins were telling me that the Super Bowl was going to happen a few
Mm-hmm.
years later.
Yep.
I forgot, was it the Giants versus the Dolphins?
No, the Dolphins weren't playing, but it was the Giants, and I forget who else. I'll tell you a funny story about that later. It
Yes,
involves it involves J-Lo and Puffy
oh,
and,
snap.
and me as a shaka.
Oh man. So let's move forward. Let's move forward to the 90s. Because I
Yeah,
want to hear that. Because I
yeah,
want to I want to know how you got down with the Zulu Nation.
yeah.
I want to know, and like, which is so dope because I got down with the nation in 94, under the G family, under Lucky Strike.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
My
how I
brother.
got down.
Rest
Yeah,
in
man.
peace.
Rest in peace to him too. And I always mention in the show, man, like if it wouldn't been for him, man,
The
I
greatest.
would have I would
The
have done the
greatest.
craziest things in the streets in New York because New York was crazy in the early 90s and
When you talk
he
about a solid individual, bro, that name is right there on the top. Um,
yes.
my involvement with Zulu is, how can I put it? In 1984, again, I gotta go back.
Oh
1984,
wow.
there was a Zulu chapter out here. Jesse Jessup, TK, who were another some other dudes that had came down from New York City. They made a record out here under the name of Fast Lane. Fast Lane. The jam was called Young Ladies Electro Funk. There were some other dudes that was planting the seeds out here. And I believe Jesse Jess was the Zulu king. So he had started a chapter out here. But again, 84. I'm too young. I'm too young to get involved, and I don't have access to
And
the
you've
Zulu.
seen them already. You've seen
Yeah,
them
yeah, I've
already.
seen them. And Mr. Flex was part of them. He was rocking his Zulu beads. I mean,
Now, you felt they were gang, or you felt like they were
no,
some real
no, no,
righteous
no.
like
Well,
organization?
see, here's the thing. At that time, and I'm going by rumors. You know what I'm
Yeah, that's
saying?
fine.
What
That's
what
fine.
I'm what I'm learning here, as a shorty. So Zulu Nation was, in our eyes, like the biggest gang in the world. But it was such a big gang, or not in the world, the United States. But it was such a big gang that the gang had chapters that were break dances, chapters that were graffiti, chapters that they were like just gangsters. So this is what we're hearing. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know no shit.
Yeah.
And that it was so large that now it was going to Europe, because by that time the whole uh tour that Bambata and all of them had gone had already happened. Also, the book Hip Hop had already it was already out, so I think that I had read something about that too.
Because I know Fresh Fest in '84, or I
Yeah.
believe '85, that started pushing the waves of the information. According to my OGs that I've spoken to,
Yeah.
they
Well,
told me that
Fresh Fest was definitely an important one, but there was already stuff before that.
yes.
Um, so they they had their chapter out here. Now I don't know the story. I don't know what happened. Um, but some way somehow that chapter, I believe, might have dissolved. But there was members that were up in Broward County, which is a totally different county than mine. I'm in Dade. Broward is
Mhm.
another city. So all of a sudden, Zulu pops up in Broward, but now they're a gang. And this is like during the gang. I mean, like when all that gang stuff was going down, um, Zulu was heavy duty out there in Broward. And like I've heard people like trying to, you know, say, oh, they're only real Zulus or whatever. Like, why? Because they were banging? That's what was happening at the time. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, they had to defend themselves. They had to do what they had to do. So never throw stones, if your house is made out of glass. You know what I'm saying? Like, those dudes they represented the name, and a lot of them died and went to jail for Zulu, you know? In 1988 or 89, it might have been 90, Geraldo Rivera does one of his specials. And it was about violence and specifically about gang violence. And they're talking about LA. I want to say they talked about New York too. But in that specific special, the Zulus from Broward come out and they got interviewed. I don't know if this is exactly the reason why they asked for a chapter to be started out here in Miami, but that's what I was led to believe. Because in 19 when Hurricane Andrew happened in 1992,
Hmm.
and I was doing security for Allstate Insurance. After everything got a little bit simmered down or what have you, I was put at the Allstate main office at the headquarters, and I'm doing security right there. But a lot of the times, when everything is chill, I always take my black book with me. So sometimes I'll be chilling and I'll be drawing. And one day, as I'm doing that, this brother comes in, and I guess he spotted me drawing, and he comes up to me and he's like, "Yo, peace. You do graffiti?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." Said, "Oh, this and this and this and that." I said, "Nah, I've been doing graffiti since I was a kid, though." Well, blah blah blah. He's like, yo, excuse me, you ever heard of Zulu Nation? And I'm like, yeah, of course. He's like, oh, word. Yo, my name is Brother Mentor. We're starting a chapter right now, blah, blah, blah. And we're actually recruiting members right now. So if you're interested, here's my number. He gives me his number and he breaks out. I honestly didn't really pay too much attention because no matter what, I mean, like, that chapter was, the people that were getting together at that time, from what I understood, they were getting together like either in Homestead or Cutler Ridge or one of them areas. And it was like too far from me. And, I had just had a baby daughter, my then girl had given birth. And like the last thing that was in my mind was anything of that sort, because I was working like a madman, I was making minimum wage. So I had like 3 jobs, like Haymon, you know what I mean? So I didn't really pay too much attention, didn't really call the brother. But then fast forward a couple of months later, my cousin Dash calls me and he's like, yo, how was it that he put it? I can't remember his exact words, but he's like, yo, where you always strive to be can now become a reality. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, yo, there's a Zulu chapter in Miami now. I'm like, and then I remembered this dude that I had seen a couple of months. I'm like, how the hell do you even know about this? He's like, nah. He's like, yo, my boys, and then he mentions 2 guys. They're involved. They're getting involved with that. And it was two graffiti writers, Ease and Shy. Ease is right now a world famous writer called his name is Jose Parla. And so Ease and Shy were getting involved, and then my boy Seam had apparently already met who was to be the chapter leader, Omar Islam. So my cousin's like, yo, reach out to Seam or reach out to Ease and see what's up if you want to be involved. Like, there's your opportunity. Like, now you're of the age.
Yeah.
So, dude, I remember I was working I was working security in for my father's contract in this condominiums called El Cid condominiums. And I think that Seam called me and we arranged a meeting. And the following day, Seam shows up with Omar Islam to my building. And right there, this brother starts talking to me, bro, and my mind was blown. Like, everything that he dropped. I mean, like, number one, the 15 beliefs. When I read those 15 beliefs, it's like, yo, like, they're beliefs, but they're not beliefs. It's like common sense stuff. You know what I'm saying? That if you have a little bit of common sense, you would agree with what you're reading. I read the Infinity Lesson 1, 2, and 3, and I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, I'm getting caught up. And then this brother's got, Omar has so much knowledge, and he was so great with words and the way that he rapped to you. I'm like, I gotta be a part of this. Like, yo, count me in. Say no more. Boom. So I started attending the meetings. Like, now the meetings weren't no longer up in Buttfuck, Egypt no more. They had moved out to Liberty City, which was much closer. Ill-ass neighborhood, but no doubt that it was closer. So I started going with my girl. And it was quite a few of us, and these meetings were just phenomenal, bro. Like, the stuff that they were talking, and I mean, like, all the conspiracy theory. I mean, everything that we're seeing right now happened. Talking about Behold a Pale Horse, William Cooper, Trilateral Commission. I mean, all this stuff is like, I was blown away.
So now, will you say he red-pilled you?
100%.
And you were like, "That's it." You took that red pill. And you're like, "I
Yeah.
need
Well,
a."
well, I wouldn't say red pill just yet, because even though I was blown away by a lot of the stuff, like still my mind is still hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like I like hearing all that stuff, but I'm hip hop. You know what I mean? I want to know about
Mm-hmm.
hip hop, and I'm not a bookworm. I want to talk about history of hip hop. Like who created this, who brought this here. And specifically around that time, I started really, really, really getting what's the word that I'm looking for? I started getting adamant about Miami's history when it comes down to hip hop too,
Yeah.
because during that time, and still to this day, there's this big misconception that Uncle Luke, it's the godfather of Miami hip hop. You know,
Yeah, they've been saying that. I've
like there
actually
wasn't.
seen documentaries that talk about
Yeah,
that. I'm like,
yeah, like there was no hip hop here before him, and it's like, yo, come on, B, like that's bullshit. We predate this dude's at least by 3 years, at least. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you might have been, flinging records here and there and doing a booty party or whatever you want to call those parties at that time. But we
mhm.
was doing the real deal out here. You know what I'm saying? And you know, other names got mentioned. Khaled, I'm like, Khaled? Really? Like, really? Like that dude just came in the 90s, and
Yo, for real, for
and
real.
I got and I'm not gonna talk it, but Khaled knows me. You know what I'm saying? Khaled knows me. Look at my eyes. He knows me, you know? So it's people that I have history. So I wanted to put that record straight. Like, yo, B, like we've had what you guys call real hip hop. We've had it here for a long time. Except that, unfortunately, these places are so segregated, and sometimes people don't see certain aspects of it. But we were on a mission. Like once that connection was made with us and Omar and that Miami chapter, that changed the game, because one of the things that happened first is a funny story. I get a phone call at my job,
Hmm.
and my man is like, "Yo, B, you know who the fuck Speedy Legs is?" And I'm like, Speedy Legs. I'm like, the only Speedy Legs that I know is old school Speedy Legs, the B-boy. And he's like, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that's him. And I'm like, wow, what's up? And he's like, nah, because we're gonna go check this dude right now. And I'm like, why? What happened?
What?
What it was, and Speedy could probably say the story better, but what it was is that Mentor, who was a co-founding father of the chapter, Mentor was also a 5%.
Mm.
So him and Speedy just happened to be at the same place one day, and Mentor just he talks about Zulu, but then he starts talking about the whole Blue Eyed Devil stuff, and F them crackers and blah blah blah. And Speedy is like, "Yo, that's not the Zulu Nation that I know. The Zulu
Yeah.
Nation that I know welcomes everybody. You know, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from. You know." And him and Mentor got into like a little argument, and then Speedy says, "Oh, so y'all fake chapter or something like that." So this dude's went
Oh,
to,
snap.
so they were gonna go get Speedy to give him some business, but
Wow.
then my man realized who Speedy was, and once they met up with Speedy, it was all love. And then Speedy ended up coming to our meetings, and with that connection, then Seam and Speedy, along with Omar, they did our first jam, which was called Hip Hop Delight in 1993. And That
Is that the
was
mall one? Is that the mall event?
no, no. The mall
What?
event was much later. This is
So in
19
1993, what was the name of the event?
Hip Hop Delight.
Hip Hop Delight. And where was
Yeah,
that? Where did it take
this
place
was
at?
in a place called Power Studios, which was like it was a studio and it was run down big time. But they talked to the owner and they fixed up the place and the owners gave us the place to throw this jam in. Talk about amazing, bro! Like that jam was so fresh, and that jam just brought everything back because it was like a throwback jam, but like everybody that was there was hip hop full fledged. You know what I mean? Like they were either down with Zulu or they were ex B boys, ex B girls, ex fly girls, whatever. I mean, like they were all there. DJ Coupe de Ville was one of the DJs. DJ Chris, DJ Domination. I was MCing. I did Shaka plus I MC'd with my crew, Heavy Artillery. Um, and it was dope, man. But there was none of this young generation guys, B-boys from out here, from Miami. They didn't even exist at that time. Like
Wow.
no Troll, no Styles, none of what you eventually will become Street Masters. None of those guys were even around. Like this is prior to that. And that jam, the only dudes that were breaking was Speedy, Scarecrow was locking, Ease was trying to break. I think that my man Seam did some up rock. I did up rock. I saw this one dude that brought back my love for popping. There's one dude, Darwin, who, come to find out, had just gotten here from Cuba and verified a long rumor that I had been hearing that there was a lot of breaking and popping going on in Cuba in the 80s. And I didn't believe it. I did not believe that at all. And here comes this guy, incredible freaking popper, verifying that rumor for me. You know what I mean? I saw that dude right there too. I saw my homeboy Junior. A lot of people went to that jam.
And what year is that? What year? That's 92,
This is
93?
1993. And then
Okay. Was that around this time? This time around here?
Yeah, right around that time. Right around that time. Yep.
And what about this? So I know probably it's a little late.
That's
90s,
later.
right?
That's when I started running the chapter.
Okay.
That's
And we'll
that's
get
the
to that. We'll get to that.
that's
We'll
the
get to that.
shaka.
We'll get to that.
So that jam created a bug. Like things just started happening after that jam. And a lot of people started coming to the meetings. Our involvement got, the membership got bigger. I would brag that even though Omar had his nucleus, which was himself, Mentor, MC Soul, the Rhythm Rocker, and I believe Brother Beasley, even though those guys were the nucleus and Eve and Shy had brought me in, I was the first manifested member that actually got in front of council and manifested my beliefs because I loved it. I have fallen completely and totally in love to the point that I almost became fanatical about it.
I think everyone goes through that because
Yeah.
I was the same way when I got down.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn the infinity lessons. I wanted. I remember talking to Bam and Lucky and all of them, and I'd be like, more. Like I just wanted to get everything. Now,
Yeah.
was Omar Islam your godfather? He baptized you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He king me. He's the one that made me a Zulu king.
Dope. Hell
and shortly after that, then we do another jam called A Tribute to the True School. And I believe that that's the jam that Raul, Zulu King Raul, was talking about.
Oh, wow. I remember he did mention that.
Yeah. He came down quite a couple of heads from Tampa came down.
Rule,
Yeah, Rule, yes.
Star.
Star, yeah. That she was his girl at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then oh my man, what's my man's name? Soul Messiah from Atlanta, who was an ill b-boy, ill. I don't know whatever happened to that guy, but that dude was mad dope at that time. Um, and to that jam, TC, may he rest in peace.
Yes.
TC came down, Lucky came down, rest in peace. Crazy Lex came down, which was funny, like the situation between him and Speedy, like it was funny.
And he was a heavy Zulu at that time too.
Huh? Yeah, yeah.
He was a heavy Zulu.
Yep.
It's interesting. I saw him last night on Drink Champs.
Mm.
The whole, I don't know if you've seen it, but
No.
he legs went on Drink Champs. It was like a 3 hour.
Yeah, no, I saw the trailer, but I didn't get to see it though.
Yeah, man, I saw the whole thing, and
I want to see it.
It's interesting because it's like he didn't want to. He sounded like he didn't want to have nothing to do with Zulu at all. Like,
Interesting.
but that's politics and stuff. But it was a little interesting.
Well, I mean,
That's all I can say. It was interesting.
well, I definitely want to see it because I'm interested in seeing what he says. But if he wants to steer away from Zulu because of certain controversies that happen, my man should realize that he has his own controversy going on.
Yep, he
so,
better look at himself in the mirror.
Don't throw stones, bro. Don't throw stones.
They bounce right back and hit you in the face.
Yep, 100%. So yeah, man. So we did that. We did that jam in 1994, tribute to the True School, and then we did our anniversary jam at the spot called the College Center, and that jam was cool because that jam. Not only did we have Ultramagnetic perform in the jam, our sister Raquel brought them down. But that's how we connected with DJ Raw, who later, became a real big deal out here with the KO Posse and Hoodstock and what have you.
I was already hearing that in New York.
Yeah. That was
it went all the way up north.
Yep.
That name blew up.
Yep, that was a real big deal because number one, DJ Raw is a very good brother. I love that dude. As it turned out, he's freaking Buck Ford's cousin. May he rest in peace.
Wow, I never knew that.
And they came to our jam because they had been hearing about the Zulu thing. And at the same time, also, oh my God, what's the name of the show with Rhythm Technicians? They were doing that.
Yes, it was the.
Oh man, that play.
Jam on the Groove.
Jam on the Groove.
Get Original Productions.
Get Originals, exactly.
Jam on the Groove. Yeah, that's 95, 96.
So that was going on. I believe it was the same day as our event. So Fable and Zulugrams and all these guys end up going to our event after they finished their show. And it was mad dope because that right there on that stage is where a lot of us finally received our beads. Omar pulled my beads. If Fable was gonna put my beads, and Omar's like, nah, I got this. And I forget who else. Seem a lot of us got our beads that night, which was
question. My bad that I cut you off. What color were the beads then?
The regular ones. We had the plastic black ones, and for the most part, we had the medallions. The medallions, which we had the red, black, and green ones. We had the green, black, and red ones. The completely black ones. You know what I'm saying? With the gold line for the Zulu Kings, which I earned that one later on, and yeah, man, that was a great night, and by making that connection with DJ Raw, he got us a spot where we made our meetings more permanent and more and more consistent, which was at Roberto Clemente Park, where he held, where he eventually held Hoodstock. Before we was doing it at this place in Liberty City, and then I don't remember exactly what happened, but I know that they had either raised the rent on the spot that Omar used to get or something. I can't really remember.
Mm-hmm.
But then we got the spot. I believe it was free of charge. The little community center right there in Roberto Clemente Park, and that really set us off. And
What year?
I want to say it was like the 94, 95.
And so that was after that jam, the second jam.
Yes, yes.
By the way, what was the name of that second jam that
The,
Dolo and
the
them
second
came
jam
down?
was a trip. The second jam, the name was a tribute to the True School. And
Tribute
there's
to
flyers hanging around there. I did both flyers. I did the characters on both flyers. And what happened in Roberto Clemente Park is that now, after this other jam that we just did, now everybody's just going in there. Boom, 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 boom. You got a who's who of Miami heads coming from Broward, coming from Dade, from Kendall, from Little Havana, everywhere coming into these meetings in the heart of Wynwood, which the Wynwood of that time, it's not the Wynwood of nowadays. Now, anybody, it's all gentrified, and you got all this lily white people, hopping around like little
They're trying to
elves and
make
shit
it
like that.
like an artistic Woodstock feel,
Yeah,
like in Miami now.
yeah, and feel cool saying that they in Wynwood because they feeding off the past. You know what I'm saying? The Wynwood that we was at was not a Wynwood to be effed with. If you weren't from that neighborhood and you were caught out there at a certain time, there's a very good possibility you might get robbed. You know what I'm saying?
Or
So
you might not come out of there.
yeah, very good possibilities. So we had the blessings that we never really had any situation. For the most part, everybody respected us. The drug dealers respected us. We never got into no heat with nobody, you know. And then we just started building from there. And then, fast forward a little bit, Omar kind of like stepped away from the chapter. And then Eric X, who had already came in the chapter, Eric helped us a lot with the shaka aspect of it, because when I started, there was a supposed shaka squad, but I was the only one. Like the other dudes,
Oh, in Miami, you're saying?
like the shakas. I mean, I remember our first jam. Going back to that one, our first jam, I had 3 huge dudes with me checking people coming in, and it was all good until all of a sudden, from across the street, we see a couple of heads. Have you ever seen the movie The Wanderers?
Yes.
All right, you remember the Ducky Boys? You remember how the Ducky
Yeah,
Boys
yeah.
appear 1 and 2, and then
Mhm,
before you know, you got
And
100.
then little by little, it's like a big freaking group.
Yeah, so that happened to us. We were doing security. The jam is starting, blah blah, and all of a sudden I start seeing heads, and I'm like, yo, this heads ain't from here. Something funny is going on, and I realized what it was. It was the Zulus from Broward coming in, and let
They
me
had
tell you,
colors?
huh?
They had the colors on?
No, they didn't have colors, but it was a
Oh.
look. It was a look. It was a
Your
look, and the way,
antennas went up. Your antennas went up
yeah,
immediately.
and now mind you, I didn't really get deep into it, but like they had told Omar pretty much that we had to go up to Broward and talk to these guys and basically either tell them to drop the name or get dealt with. The only problem is, I don't know how the hell we were gonna deal with them, because this dudes had the numbers. We didn't have that kind of muscle at that time. You know what I'm saying? So when I saw this dudes popping up, I'm like, oh shit. And I look back, and the three huge dudes that were with me bounced.
They were
I'm
Zulus
like,
too, and they left.
they were coming. They were part of the chapter, but they were manifesting. And after that embarrassment, I didn't allow them to manifest.
Oh my god, dude!
You know what I'm saying?
So you're standing there alone.
I'm standing there alone. I had to lock the gate, and I had to run to Omar, and I'm like, yo, they're here. Who's there? Broward. Omar got his burner, and they came. Bless the dead, John, David Carbonell, and all those dudes, and they came. And they were the coolest dudes in the world. They came, they came in peace, and they're like, yo, you need help? We're here. Put us to work. And those dudes stood out there the whole night, and they helped us do Shaka all night long without no experience. But that's loyalty, bro.
How many numbers? How many you think?
Yo, those dudes came at least like 30 or 40 deep. And it was only like 10 of us tops.
Wow.
I mean, those people in the jam, I had a little bit of muscle inside the jam that didn't have nothing to do with Zulu. From like,
so you unlocked the gate back?
yeah. No, we unlocked the gate immediately. Like, hey, peace, what's up? This is that. But they came in total peace, bro. Like they like there was no question. It was lovely. It was a moment, P, that I wish that we would have had cameras of that encounter to just relive it, because the love that I felt right there, like I fell in love with that chapter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had people that have always like said negative shit about them because of their past or whatever, but I got nothing but love for the Zulus from Broward.
Are they still around or no?
Some of them are, some of them not. Unfortunately,
But active?
So. I mean, like the one that's running the chapter right now is actually a Zulu Queen Siete that was a part of that chapter. We gave her the torch.
No, the majority that were manifested.
In a different way, Apache line type. You know what I mean?
Ah, that's it. Say no more.
Yeah. So it was different.
So how did it move into like you becoming chapter leader and all that? Because you've got a nice little team right there.
Yeah, right there.
And who's that? Drop names.
All right. So to the far right there with hair and dressed in black, that's me. That's Soul Messiah leaning down in the gray. Right in the middle, kneeling is Eric X. Right next to him is Mushroom. Right behind Eric is TC Islam. Next to him on his right is Omar. Next to Omar is Rhythm Rocker. Bambada is right next to TC's left. To his
one in the blue with the big jacket, right?
Yes. Then you got Brother Beasley right next to Bambada. You got Ease on the far left. Oh man, there's other guys I can't really see their face real good. Oh man, I forgot homeboy, the light-skinned dude that's behind Mushroom. I forget his name. But there's other 2 or 3 guys that I can't really remember them.
Out of all those that are there, who's still with us besides TC Islam? Rest in peace. That's not with us. That's not with us.
That's not with us. Thankfully, I think everybody's still around. Yeah, everybody. Oh, yeah, I see Mentor back there too, but he got caught off. Yeah, thankfully, the only one that has passed from that picture is TC. But from my chapter, specifically in the latter years, you have
all of them right here, right?
Yeah, those are my brothers right there, man. My man Smash, my man Tricks dressed in the all black. That's my dude from 1984. That's my partner. He was like my popping partner, my graffiti partner. And then I brought him into Zulu. And right next to him, you got Joe Punisher, you got Mushroom, you got Michael, Reset all the way in the back, dressed in black, Wisdom Love, my cousin Dash, Eddie, Little Kim that I'm hugging. Who's that behind Little Kim? Isis. Frank, I got Zulu King Image, Oh man, and the funk. I don't know what was it, man? The Masculine Queens. That was a dance group that was down with Zulus, also of females, which is Zulu
I
King
think
Image's
I
cousins.
think I heard of them. Weren't they supposed to like battle the Fly Girls or something or somebody? I
It's
think I heard
it's
of them way
possible. It's
back.
possible because they
They
were
had
doing
like
a lot
mad
of stuff.
routines, right? They had like
Yeah, the
routines and
Masculine Queens. Yep.
damn, I think I have videos or something because I have so many archives. I got a few tapes. And I think for some reason, I think I've seen them on a video or I don't know,
Hmm.
but it sounds so familiar, man. When you
Well,
said
the
that,
Masculine Queens, they were like a hip hop group of females. They were dancers. They weren't really like B girls, but they were like doing like all that dope dancing on
yeah,
that time.
routine. Like they will do
Yeah,
like they will do
yeah,
all the stuff like that,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So
For
they were
some
really,
reason.
yeah, they were really close to us because Zulu King Image, my brother, he that's his cousins. Like three of them, four of them are his cousins. You
Okay,
know.
cool, cool. So now check this out. Talk to me about this real quick, so we can move on forward. And believe it or not, Chilski, we're going on 3 hours.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
You not believing this, but a lot of people are like, what? Like, but don't
Wow.
worry about it. Hey, it's think about this. How can you document 40 plus years in 2 hours, three
Yep.
hours?
Yep.
In fact, not even in 24 hours you could capture that.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
impossible.
Yeah,
But
it's crazy.
talk to me about this right here.
Ah, that's myself, my partner Cero, and my daughter. My daughter when she was becoming a deadly venom herself.
That's so dope. What year is that?
Uh this has to be early 2000, maybe 2001, 2002.
What about here? Right about here.
Oh, this is 1990. This is 96. That the brother in the bottom, that's my man Alien, aka Sam Bam. He rest in peace. He was one of my brothers for my old school graffiti crews, TNSB. Uh, to his right is my cousin Dash, um, the freaking graffiti thug. and and then to my right is my man Zeke from my crew TNSB. Um, Zeke is actually one of those guys that I told you that I had in from Miami, like two of the best up rockers. He's one of them. It was Carlos and him.
Dope. Dope, dope. So I want to take you to proams, man, because this is official right here. That right there, man. Is that the one you were talking about? The custom made suit.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
is this 99?
That's 99.
That is 99 because was that the first time you guys perform on the stage for proam?
I think that we might have done something in 98, but I really can't remember.
Because for some reason I feel like there were curtains,
Yes, there were curtains. There were
right?
curtains. Yes, there was. There was.
I never forget that because I remember, I was like on the side and I'm like trying to
Yes,
look, and I remember the
yes.
curtains, and then you came out with the crew and you guys went off. That's
Yeah.
when I was like, I don't know if it was around that same time that Ken Swift did like this kung fu thing in New York, some Bruce Lee thing. I forgot it was
Mm,
something. Speedy Legs spoke about it in the show when he was a guest on the show.
mhm.
I don't know if it was the same year, but that was the first time that I've always seen, of course, martial art with the breaking, but that was like the official first time I saw a performance that with that caliber of like nunchucks and
Right, right.
popping, and I'm like, what the heck? Yo, that was the most official thing in fact, there was a lot of dope things that happened that day, but that's what I took with me
Yeah,
because I'm, such a martial artist head that I was like, damn, that was so dope. In fact, I wanted that gear too. I was like, man,
yeah, yeah.
I was like, I could picture myself
We got
breaking with that.
we got those custom made with this really nice lady that was she's the mother of really dope DJ named Battle Cat, and what you call it, she does custom work. So I had
Yes,
seen her.
yes.
Her son one day was rocking this kind of like a kung fu top, and I
Mm-hmm.
seen him. And he was my boy. He used to come to the Zulu meetings, and I seen him with it. I'm like, yo, B, like, where you got that? You know what I mean? Like I was bugging. And he said, yo, my mom's did this. I was like, what? No way. I'm like, yo, you gotta put me in touch with your mom's. You know what I mean? Actually,
That's
that was his auntie. His auntie, and my man Pito's mom. Um, but yeah, that and the one that I think that Kenny and Speedy did, I think it was a little bit later with the Wushu team.
that's what. Oh no, no,
Yeah,
wait. The one that was in another spot pro-am, I believe Trails was involved with it too. With
yeah,
the
yeah. But I believe that prior to that, they had done something. I think in New York too.
yes,
I
that's what I
think.
was talking about.
Yeah,
That's what I was talking about.
but it was with the Wushu team. Yeah, I remember that.
So now moving on, in the current state of hip hop culture, what is something you would like to change? We're in 2023, and you've been involved since the 80s. You've seen the 90s, you've seen the early 2000s, but now we're in 2023. What is something you would like to change?
And the whole ignorance, um, the whole praising of drugs and like in the 80s they talked about drugs, but it was as a message to not do it. You know what I'm saying? Like and even when gangster rap became the thing, like it just wasn't as graphic, like I mean, I never really, again, I'm an East Coast dude, bro, and I love my New York sound, and New York had its own version of gangster rap. He called you rap. You know what I mean? All
Yeah.
that could be called gangster.
Do you remember Tim Dog?
Of course, I love Tim Dog. I love Tim Dog, and he,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I never really got into the whole West Coast gangster stuff. I really liked Easy E. I liked Easy
Okay.
E. I liked his delivery and I liked his voice. And come to find out that he wasn't even a real rapper. He was a real
Yeah.
gangster.
Yeah,
But
that's crazy.
but I appreciated some of their stuff, but I never really got to it too deep because I couldn't relate. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't a part of that, and even with me with my MCing and stuff like that, like to me, you know, you could lyrically destroy a person without having to even curse. Like if you listen to Rakim's
Ah,
lyrics all the way up to 89, even 91, like you didn't hear a curse word until like the when he said you couldn't fuck around with the army. That's let the rhythm hit him. That's the first time I ever heard Ra like use a curse word. But like you hear all those dudes, man, and they were so fresh in their lyrics, and they didn't have to, you know, carry themselves in a certain way. And nowadays, it's like a sideshow freaks almost, man. Like you know, when it's not the cursing and I mean the mumble rap is another thing, and then their styles are just like outrageous. Like I mean, they talk about hip
yeah.
hop, and I don't see nothing hip hop about it, man. Like, I tell you, if I was growing up in this era, I wouldn't want to be involved with that. But then again, that's a rap. That's not, unfortunately,
That's
the
just
map.
one of the elements is being
Yeah,
tainted in that
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Now, will you
Unfortunately,
consider it as conscious hip hop culture, mainstream hip hop culture, or do you think everything is together?
uh, I wouldn't say that they're together, but they're right now. I hate to sound like an old grouch, but They're all as equally as boring because you know these dudes need to realize that hip hop, hip hop in its rawest form was about having fun. You know what I'm saying? All these other people, oh, conscious. Yeah, the consciousness is dope. Don't get me wrong. I love all of that. But ultimately, it was about having fun. It was music. It was meant for us to
Party,
dance.
that party
You know what I mean?
feel.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I want to be happy, bro. I want to be dancing. I want to be chilling. I want to be having fun with my people, not a 20 dudes with their arms crossed, looking at each other, showing a grill, you know, trying to start a fight.
What is the last event you went to that had that feeling for you?
As far as like having fun,
Yeah, like the one that you went that you left there like inspired, that you were like, wow, this is what I'm
um,
talking about. What was the last event? And you're not knocking by you giving an answer. You're not knocking other events that were probably as
um,
dope. But if you didn't attend it, you didn't attend it. But the
right.
last one you went to that you were like,
Well, it's
shit.
always gonna come down to my freestyle concerts. It's always gonna come down to my freestyle concerts because and freestyle concerts that are out in the open, not the sitting down ones. Because nowadays they're doing a lot of these freestyle concerts that you got to sit down in your seat like an old rock head that is like 70 years old. Yo, freestyle is music to dance. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes,
I
yes, yes.
I come over here to dance. So
And I understand why you related to the freestyle because it has that electro funk feel that
yeah,
it
yeah.
has that you could pop to it, you could lock
You
to
you
it,
could do
you
you
could
could do
rock
anything
to
to it, and,
it.
and it's
Yes.
it's a great time because it was love and it was ladies, bro.
Yeah, man.
Oh man, those times were amazing. But so yeah, so the most fun that I've had has been in events like that. But
Oh,
the old proams, like
come on now.
like 98, 99, 2000, 2001, all those. And at that time, I still had that fire too.
Oh yeah, man. I
You
remember
know,
you, dude. You were
like
going off.
yeah, like
Everywhere. You were in every cipher. You were everywhere I looked, you were uprocking. Then over here, I see you popping,
yep,
battling like 1,000 people.
yep, yep,
Like
yep.
it's
It
freaking
was
official.
fun. I mean, and even when prom would finish, then we would take it to 9th Street and Ocean. You know what I'm saying? And start stuff up there. Which a lot of people don't know, but that in itself, right there, that spot is historical, right there. Like that's the home that the Venoms built because Speedy, when he was on a mission to bring all of this back, he used to practice on 10th Street and Ocean Drive and had all the
Mhm.
young b-boys
That's correct.
gathering right there. When I took over as Zulu, I started going to that area, but I used to I would do like the Warriors. Like now we didn't have a compound where we would have our meetings.
When you
Now
guys do your meetings there?
yeah, we were doing it out in the ocean, right there on the sand.
Yeah. Because I used to hear about it. I used to hear about it
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
dudes,
yeah, yeah.
my
It was
cousins would tell me, like, yo, I swear I saw a bunch of your Zulu brothers, like 30 or 40 of them
yeah.
by the
m-
beach.
My
And
crew was
I'm like,
massive, bro.
what
My
are you talking about? Like in the
yeah,
beach?
yeah, my
And
crew,
I never understood what he was talking about, but then
yeah,
look at that.
yeah,
Chillski
yeah.
and
I,
his
I I
crew.
changed it because when the chapter went its separate ways, Lucky reached out to me, and that brother be like
Damn, I
freaking
miss
love
that
that
brother,
dude, bro.
man. I
Rest in
miss him
peace,
so
bro.
much, man.
Man, yo, I remember the phone call be, and he's like, "Yo," he's like, "Chill, what's up?" And I'm like, "Nothing's up, it's dead, you know." And he's like, "It can't be dead. You can't let it die." And I'm like, "Lucky, what am I gonna do?" He's like, "Yo, lead it." And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, B, I was scared, because um,
But
I had met,
they say if it doesn't scare you, it doesn't change you.
yeah, and the me, the Chusky of that time was a little bit of a hothead. You know what I'm saying? Like I still had mad energy in me, bad fucking temper. You know what I'm saying? Like not cool, but
I don't think you were a hothead because I already knew you. I feel that you were just passionate.
yeah, yeah. I guess you could say that.
That's what
Um,
I felt from you, that you were just
yeah,
passionate. Because
yeah,
I knew a lot of brothers in New York that had that same passion and
right,
were mistaken by like, oh, he's a hothead or he's mean or blah. I
yeah.
feel you were just passionate. Like,
Yeah, I tried my best not to be an asshole to people. There were some that I actually ended up being assholes to because they crossed certain lines, and they actually kind of lucky that I didn't spark them up. But you know, when it came down to Zulu, like I felt like, man, I don't wanna grab the torch and fed up. Like I think that so much had been accomplished, and I was scared that I was gonna lead it into a different direction. Um, because of the way that I was, because I wasn't that dude that's mad knowledgeable in the whole book knowledge type of aspect. I was more into the physical shaka aspect. But man, to my surprise, bro, like when Lucky gave me that push, I made a few phone calls, bro, and the first ones online were my shakas. My shakas is like, you leading, we're in there. You know what I mean? And they came without I had nothing. I didn't have to give them no rap, no nothing. They were there. And a couple of heads that I wish I would have came didn't come because they had moved on. You know, there was a little bit of controversy with the whole breakup
yeah,
or whatever.
absolutely.
But but the ones that came were solid, and I always said it: quality over quantity anytime. You know what I'm saying? And the quality that I had next to me was beyond. I mean, to a point that the crew grew like big time. Like the Miami chapter had nice numbers at the beginning, even during the Eric X era had nice numbers. But that era, I don't know what it was, but it was a different feel. Like it was a different fire. Like I remember that we used to go to the beach, not in the beanies, but like on Friday nights. There was a club that we used to go a lot to, a club Zen. And yo, we used to park like on 21st Street and come walking down. And as we walking down, we start screaming the war chant.
Oh,
Zulu, Gestapo, Zulu, Gestapo. And it was intimidating, B, because you got like 30 heads walking down Washington Avenue. And then on top of the 30 heads, then you got all these people that are down with somebody in the crew.
yeah. There's
And
a family, a friend, a girlfriend, and
yo, Flash, I kid you not, B. Even the Miami Beach Police Department, the detective, the gang unit, will walk across the street. Ain't nobody fucking with us.
yeah, they didn't know what the
By
hell
the
was
time
coming.
that by the time that we got to Club Zen, it could be like 50 or 60 of us. And guess what? Everybody got in free.
Wow.
They will give us the red carpet treatment because that's the rep that we had, and we governed ourselves. We're
Mhm.
like, yo, like, we don't need security. We're our own security. I could tell you stories, bro. That
I could imagine now. Now you were saying that you felt like you were a hothead or all that, and I understand because you had something to prove. You had to lead the pack now. But what is something people seem to misunderstand about you?
that that especially during that time, a lot of the young b-boys that were coming up at that time, we we were trying to give them advice, and a lot of them were knuckleheads. So a lot of them I had to grab by the ear and tell them, "Yo, B, like, I'm not telling you stuff so you can make a fool of yourself. I'm telling you because it's important if you want to be considered a top dog, if you want to be considered a fresh b-boy, there's certain things that you got to do. You got to conduct yourself in a certain way. You got to dress a certain way. Don't show up to a jam looking mad bummy.
Which
And
that's the
expect,
number one big problem with b-boys. They show
Mhm.
up so bummy.
Yeah, mad bummy. And I come from an era where 80% of the battle was won by the way you were dressed up. You know what I'm saying? And the effort that we used to put into getting dressed and color coordinate everything. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, B, like, I'm not trying to make you guys be like 1984. Well, you guys could go to freaking, even if you don't got that much money, you could go to Kmart or Walmart and buy yourself a nice nylon suit and combine it with your kicks and look presentable. You know what I'm saying? The other thing that used to kill me was the top rock. You know what I'm saying? At one point, some of these dudes was looking mad questionable. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
There's my man that's from California that he's mad dope. He had incredible freezes, but I think that he came from the house movement. We used to call it a Richton. I can't remember
Yeah,
his name.
Remind. Yeah, Remind.
So Remind,
Dope moves, all that. He had
yeah,
the
yeah,
hot
but he
beat.
had the turkey shuffle. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine because that was his style. That was his style, so I can't hate on it. That's the way that he executed. And hey, he more than made up with the rest of the crazy stuff that he used to do.
Yeah, he
But
won. He
then,
won at Pro-Am.
yeah, but then when I started seeing all these Miami heads trying to do my man's top rock, I'm like, yo, what are you doing that gooseneck rock for, bro? You know what I'm saying? You got dudes that are teaching you properly, like Speedy, like Carlos Quiroga, may he rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? And other heads, and you guys are looking like biters. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether you realize it or not, it's like the movie Carrie. They're gonna laugh at you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna laugh at you, son. You're fighting a dude style that is originally his. You know what I'm saying? That dude was original. The white kid that's down with him,
Crumbs.
Crumbs, mad original too. You know what I'm saying? At
But he
that
had a
time,
different style of top rock too.
totally, totally. It wasn't my cup of tea, but it was their style. Theirs.
And you were seeing the crews in Miami
Yeah, and
imitating that.
I'm seeing homeboys out of Little Havana coming out doing that. I'm like, yo, P, like, what are you doing, bro? You're looking like a sucker right now. So that used to drive me nuts. So, I had to, you know, tell quite a few heads, yo, try to be a little bit more, more people like instead of being biting, like, you know what I'm saying?
And honestly, I appreciate that because not a lot of heads are out there that care like yourself that could
Yeah.
pull the young cats and say, yo, you're looking kind of goofy right now.
You know
You're looking
why?
like a sucker right now. Like at least you're being one of the elders that are
Yeah,
pushing them, and you care enough to make them look. Because not only that, they're representing Miami. They're
exactly,
representing where you come from.
exactly,
So you're like,
exactly.
yo, all the Miami cats are whack.
And that was my big deal too, because I was like, yo, B, if when y'all battle out here in the park, when y'all battle out here in the beach against each other, that's fine. But when you got all these other heads coming down to our city, who's gonna hold the flag? You know what I'm saying? Who's gonna hold the flag proudly? Because I'm from the era that 2 blocks make a whole difference in the world. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the era that if you go to a neighboring block and you ain't down with that crew, you might get your ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? So imagine dudes from out of town. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm General Patton in this, bro. You know,
Yeah.
I'm Genghis Khan. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Genghis Khan and
that's it.
Napoleon, all wrapped
That's
into
it.
one. So
That's the way.
I had to let them know, and without no malice, but at the same time, I'm like, yo, you gotta be proud of where you're from, bro. You gotta represent your city. That's
And
why,
I think we need more of that now.
mhm,
We need that now. We need
yeah.
heads to correct other heads.
uh,
You know,
uh, uh,
it's great to have that. Like it's like these kids are walking around with no hip hop dad.
no, no,
They need their hip hop dad there and
yeah,
their hip hop mom, like yo, correcting them,
yep.
checking them.
And and
Like
and and
yo,
the and the thing is that now they have that opportunity. From our era, we didn't have that opportunity. Like my dad didn't want nothing to do with what I was doing. My father used to get mad. You know what I'm
you're a
saying?
bum. You're gonna be a bum,
Yeah, you know what I'm
probably
saying?
right.
My father didn't appreciate what I was doing until much, 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 much later in life, when I
Wow.
proved to him that I was a good man, that I was a family man, and that I've always, loved my kids to death. You know what I'm saying? And that I'm a hardworking man. That ever since I started working, I've never stopped. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm for my family. So that's when my pops, may he rest in peace. He started appreciating that. But I didn't have that luxury of being like, "Hey, Dad, take me to this jam." I didn't want to hear that shit. Now we're that generation that has our kids, and we can mold them correctly and support them. You know what I'm saying? And be able to tell them, "Look, you could do this, do that, blah blah blah." Give them some sort of advice. Kids are gonna be kids no matter what. You know what I mean? Because we were kids once upon a time, and we're knuckleheads, and we want to do things our way. But at least you give them the proper guidance, you give them the proper tools, and then let them take it to where they want to. You know what I'm saying? Don't push it on them, because then they become renegades. You know what I'm saying? But at least give them some sort of talk, give them some inspiration. And that's what I was trying to do. A lot of heads didn't, take it that way. You know, and you know, if I insulted anybody, I'm sorry. But that wasn't my intentions originally. Um, and then there are those that I had to actually show the bad side of me, because they did cross certain lines. You know, and they had to learn. You know, it's
They're
funny.
gonna they're gonna learn. They're gonna learn one way or
Yeah,
another, right?
it's funny. I was listening to Clown's interview, and I haven't finished that. I'm by an hour and something already. Great interview. All your interviews have been freaking great, bro. By the way,
Thank you, appreciate it, brother.
I love them. I love them. But I was listening to Clown, and I was catching a flashback. No pun intended.
Yeah,
Or
I
one
hear that
time,
a lot.
yeah, one time he was out here, and Speedy, being Speedy, we're all practicing on 10th and Ocean, and he said, "Yo, they're out here breaking, and yo, they didn't even come by to say what's up, blah 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 blah, instigating stuff." So I'm like, "Yo, so let's not sing no more. Let's go over there." So I have the big freaking blaster, my man Seto's blaster, and a bunch of us go over there, and Clown was doing his hitting out in the street, and I'm being rude as fuck with my loud ass, because his box wasn't as big as mine. And
Yeah.
I come and I put the box on the floor. I'm sure Clown will remember this. And I put the loud ass shit, and the head clown comes like, "You chill." And I feel bad. I feel bad because Clown is mad cool. Always been mad cool.
For
But
sure,
at
for
the same
sure.
time, I'm like, yo, like, this is my city, bro. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
for sure.
but and not to mention that somebody had already poked the lion, so he was instigating certain stuff. You know what I mean? Speedy was, and I told to his face, you know. And so I come up with a bad attitude, then Speedy, Mr. Instigator, then he like looks at me, he's like, "Bro, just lower the radio a little bit, bro. Let him do the show." And I'm like, "Dude, you're the one that got us to come over here in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up?" So I lower the music and stuff like that, and they doing the show. And yo, B, I don't know why, but this one kid, what was his name? Rewind. I heard he passed away. He did, bless the dead, but I'm not sure. He
He was one of the
made
hitters with Clown.
no. He was one of the Miami dudes that was out here, but somehow he was within that whole circle.
Okay.
But that kid, like all of a sudden, now it's not only clowns, people doing the hitting. Now the Miami dudes are helping out or including themselves in the whole scenario, and they started breaking. But some way, somehow, a battle starts, and this kid
Rewind.
rewind makes a derogatory comment to Tio Steel.
Oh man, Tio Steel. Shout out to Tio
And
Steel's in Cali now.
yeah, but Tio Steel is like my cousin's son. You know what I'm saying? Big Dash, Mr. Freaking, the epitome of a fucking graffiti thug.
Yeah.
Hey, my cousin just went and just slapped him. Ah! And all of a sudden, this whole fight breaks out, and Nightcrawler was there, and his boy Lethal was right there, and Lethal got a taste of this one's right here. You know what I'm saying? He tried to pull some shit. I thought he had gone and pushed my cousin. I don't know if I don't think that did happen because my cousin would have pounded on him. But I guess that I already had like a little bad taste with him because I had like a little small argument with him over some bullshit the week before, and he came and like I crushed him. Tyson versus Spinks.
I could imagine. I
Tyson
could
versus
just
Spinks,
imagine.
and
Now,
then
now, yeah, go ahead. Keep going,
and
keep going.
then the Shakas came afterwards, and they did
Oh man.
a whole lot of more damage. I'm like that. So I'm watching clowns interview, and I'm remembering this.
And Clown remembers all this, I could
I
imagine.
I I, I, I would assume that he remembers that. I mean, that was a pretty unforgettable incident. I mean, Speedy was livid. Speedy wanted to kill us. He's like, you see, this is why peoples will never get nowhere. You fucking guys. I'm like, yo, nigga,
Yeah.
nigga trying to fuck around with my cousin. I'll fucking, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, like, so, I made this question so long, but yeah, that's one of the things that, I never tried to be an asshole to these guys. I was always trying to give the best advice possible. Just, like I said, passionate, and I was, like I call this my fountain of youth, bro. Like whenever I'm dancing, whenever I'm doing like this, just brings me back and makes me feel like that 14-year-old boy again. You know what I'm saying? So
So it's like your inner dojo, right? Your inner
yeah,
dojo.
yeah, yeah. So, and specifically during that time that I was just returning back into the scene, like I told you, in '86, I felt like I was left with unfinished business. You know what I'm saying? So I'm coming in with the same fire that I was left back then. So a lot of the aggression was still left. You know what I'm saying?
Will we
Like,
ever see another Chillski again, round 3? Do it again, one more
uh,
time, brother.
oh yeah. Chusky's always around. Chusky just got to lose weight. Chusky's got to put himself in a regimen that I lose some pounds.
And I know you read some Bruce Lee books, you figure it out.
Oh yeah, no. For me, it's easy. I just gotta get over the stump. Like I was doing it until recently. Unfortunately, my pops got sick in early September, and unfortunately, he passed away at the end of September.
Sorry to
Prior to
hear
that,
that,
I was
man.
yeah, thank you. Prior to that, I was working out heavy duty with my son. My son's putting me through a regimen like boxing,
Oh
picking
yeah.
the bags. So I was already trimming down and tightening up my muscles, and I was doing good. But that period when my pops got sick all the way until he passed messed me up, messed up my eating habits, and then I just got like not not lazy and not depressed, but almost like a combination of both. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm chilling in my house. I didn't really want to do too much. And
Yeah, it happens. It happens. You just get
and
turned
and
off. You know.
yeah, and this whole COVID BS has messed up so much stuff that, whereas I was going to my freestyle clubs every Saturday night, that kind of put to a monkey wrench, and people stopped clubbing, you know, and I didn't have nothing to do. And like me going to these clubs is like my main exercise, uprocking and popping and doing my things with my boys, you know what I mean? So now I'm starting to slowly come back. I gotta be very careful though, because I've had a lot of injuries, specifically my right knee.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to be careful, because every time I get excited that I feel like I'm getting my stamina back or whatever, I end up hurting myself again. So I'm
Yep, yep.
trying,
That's the way it is.
I'm trying, I'm trying my best to, like, even when I rock, not to rock too hard, because I'm aggressive with it, you know. So I'm gonna try my best to be a little bit more suave, like
So there will be another Chillski coming out soon.
100%, 100%,
Awesome. Now,
100%. I
now,
mean,
now, now, if you could go back to being a kid again, what would you tell yourself?
what would I tell myself?
Yeah, so imagine Almighty Chillski goes back to, let's put you in 1985, and you
Let's
meet
put it 84.
Chillski then.
I
84.
said,
Okay, go ahead. Go
okay,
ahead.
I know
What
exactly
would
what.
you tell? What would you tell him?
One of the first things that I would do is say, Chili, grab those cameras, those 8 millimeters or whatever that's called that Dad has. Grab the big camera, get yourself somebody that could film, and get some damn footage. Get some damn
Yeah.
footage of what we were doing at that time, because unfortunately we weren't blessed with cameras. Not a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us were poor and we didn't have access to that. I heard Alien Ness say, pictures are worth 1,000 words, but imagine video.
Oh
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
man.
I would have loved to have had some video, at least some speck of me at that time, and be able to show my kids and my grandkid. You know, that's
But I
one of the
believe
things.
you were living the moment. I think you
Yeah,
were in the
yeah,
present
yeah,
moment
yeah,
that you weren't thinking. Now, do you feel like you were gonna make it all the way till 2023? Was your mind there?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, you knew like I'm making it through this.
yeah. Yeah. I'm not. What in regards to the COVID crap? I'm
No, no,
never.
no. I'm saying
Oh,
like when you were a kid,
oh.
was your mind
Um,
thinking, yo, I'm gonna make it over
I
21, over
never.
30?
Well, I can't say I was looking ahead of that time, because, like you said, we were living the moment. We
That's
were living.
exactly it.
We
Yeah.
we were living history, and sometimes we take a lot of stuff for granted. You know, a lot of stuff that I wish that I would have kept. Like even some of my Bruce Lee books, man. Like I remember that when my ex got pregnant with our first daughter, with my daughter, with my only daughter, actually, got a son. Uh, but in 1990, when she got pregnant with Janessa, that I moved out of my house at 17 years old, I remember that I used to have a nice little collection of Bruce Lee stuff at that time already. But my parents, they thought that I was freaking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because when I would get mad, I'd become Bruce Lee. I was actually a hybrid. I was a hybrid of Bruce Lee and the Incredible Hulk.
Ah.
The Incredible Hulk Friday nights was my shit. So
Now the
yeah,
original
the
one, the
original
show.
joints.
Ah, yeah.
And you know, come to find out that they threw away a lot of my Bruce Lee stuff,
I
which I'm
already
like,
know
oh,
that.
man. And then years later, I saw the same magazines that I used to have that my sister had bought for like $2, selling for like $60, $70. I'm like,
Oh man.
and even then, this is how much I love that dude. The little pennies that that I had to struggle to make with working 2 jobs, sometimes three. I paid my bills, take care of all the baby stuff, whatever was left. I never went on vacation. I never went on anything. Everything was, let me get this Bruce Lee collectible. Let me get this Bruce Lee magazine. Let me get that. That's how I was. All kung fu movies. I was getting all the, all the Shaw Brothers, all that stuff. I was getting it at that time. I mean, you got to see my collection of movies, bro. It's
Well,
crazy.
I remember you sent me a bunch of like tapes and stuff that I know that you probably have a collection galore. Now, do you have them from VHS to DVD, or you have them both like
I have them
mixed?
both. I have them both. I have them both.
Amazing.
When DVD became the thing, it's sad, but I had to like replace a lot of my VHSs because now it's like, damn, like I need to have Five Deadly Venoms on DVD. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I
yes.
have to. I have to have freaking Chinese Super Ninjas. I have to have all, so I had to like double up. And, some of them I've never been able to find them. I mean, because there's some that are super rare that you could only get them in Chinatown or in Canal. You know what I mean? Like when I used to go over there, I
Yes.
used to buy my movies in Canal. Oh,
And this is some of them, right? Right there. Look at that
oh yeah.
collection.
Yep. There you go. Yep. That's my tower, my little
Man, you
DVD
ain't
tower.
playing, brother. You ain't playing with that right there.
Yo, and
And
it's
that's just
crazy.
one of them, right?
Yeah, that's just one of them. And then, mind you, that's rolls because you see the ones that are in the front, but you don't see the ones that are in the back, like towards the back. Like at least 3 rolls of DVDs of strictly kung fu, and then
This
the
is more,
VHS.
right?
Oh, that's the VHSs right there. Tons and tons of them. Yeah, Master
And
Killer,
you
Mad
still
Monk.
have all of them, right?
Yeah. I've never gotten rid of them.
Boom.
Yeah, yeah.
Official,
They had they
official,
had called
official.
they had called me a hoarder. Several people, like my ex had called me a hoarder or whatever, and I didn't want to believe it. I was like, "Yo, I'm not a hoarder," this and this and that.
Hey,
But
you're just a collector. You're a collector, man. That's
yeah,
every man needs something to look back after and even show their kids, their grandkids. So,
yep, yep,
don't listen to the noise. Don't listen to the noise
yep,
because you get rid of all of them.
yeah,
You will get
yeah.
rid of all of them. Now, if you could be remembered for one thing, and I know it's very difficult for it to be one thing, what would it be? But if it's the main one thing,
That I've tried to be the best father possible to my kids.
great answer.
Yeah, yeah. Like as much as I love hip hop and I love all the things that come with it, my kids are number one. Like nothing better than that. Now, if I had two choices, then
Go ahead, go for the second one.
then just being that one dude that always stayed consistent, that was stuck in a time capsule. Like I haven't gotten out of my 1984-85 time capsule, and that hip hop just I love it. I mean, for what we know as hip hop, the true culture of it, the love, the having fun aspect with all that BS politics, and now
Yes.
the whole cancel culture that comes with it. That you gotta if he said this, he's not a good guy, and they cancel you for whatever reason, or
People
if
are
you're not the
sensitive,
yeah,
sensitive and all
or
that.
now you gotta if you're not the right color, now all of a sudden you're a guest or whatever. Yeah, right. Right. Try to play that on us that have represented and bled, and some of us even died for this shit. Try to tell us that. I got certain
Especially now. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, go ahead.
I got certain bones to pick with certain people, and I'm gonna say it right here because I saw
Go
something.
ahead, brother.
I saw something a while back, and it actually had to do with you. I didn't get
Oh,
involved. I didn't get involved because I don't like to get involved on online beefs because if I don't have you in front of me in my face and I can tell you right to your face and into your eyes and you look into mine and see how serious I am. I don't
yes.
I don't want to get involved in that type of stuff.
Yeah,
But I
go ahead. Say
saw
it, brother.
but I saw a certain uh, 2 or 3 certain dudes try to check you on the whole Latino guests in
Oh, I
hip hop.
already know, brother.
Yeah. And mind you, my brother, let me tell you, and I'm gonna tell you like this, and when it comes out, I hope that said person sees it and he understands where I'm coming from. Because I got mad love. I got mad love for him. But some of the stuff that I saw that he wrote was mad whack. You know what I'm saying? And specifically coming from a person that all his surroundings have been Latinos helping him with his dance. He came late into this game. You know what I'm saying? And it was Latinos and probably even some whites helping him. Speedy welcomed him into those circles. I welcomed him. I got mad love for him. But don't get it twisted. You know what I'm
You're
saying?
gonna drop that name? You're gonna drop that name? Say it
Yeah,
how it is, brother.
yeah. Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler. That's my dude. But I was very disappointed in some of the stuff that I saw him write to you and write also to Speedy Legs. And then I found out that he wrote some stuff to even my partner Cuba. You know what I'm saying? And
Wow.
and that doesn't fall right for me because that dude knows that I even fought for him at Club Zen. Myself with my Zulus wrecked shop because some dudes came and trying to disrespect their circle when he was dancing with his boys. You know what I'm saying? And we came and we regulated and we got into the biggest freaking fight right there in Club Zen from 12th Street all the way up to 16th Street in Washington Avenue. It was the Shakas versus some stupid ass dudes that try to violate their cipher. You know what I'm saying? Guess what? Those Shakas were Latinos, baby. You know what I'm saying? Straight Latinos.
Yeah, and for him to start saying all that crap about that Latinos are guests in the culture and hip hop,
That doesn't fly with me,
and that
bro.
no, it didn't fly with me either. And if you got to read the comments, me going back and forth with the brother, because since I've known him, I've always shown him love.
Yep.
But when he started talking about all that crap about that Latinos are guests in the hip hop culture, I'm one of those type of dudes. I'm a Zulu too. I'm a Shaka Zulu, and I we're basically from the same family tree, brother. And when I heard that, it just it was like straight to my blood that went in, and
Yep.
kept talking. I know we were like keyboard warriors at that time, but I try to keep it respectful, and I
You
kept
did.
going
I
back and
saw it.
forth. And you
And then that
reading what I'm saying.
and then that other dude that is quote unquote black, but he's lighter than you and me put together, talking all that nonsense, the green eyed dude. I was like, yo, like money, like you dudes got it all freaking twisted, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what juice they're
Like,
drinking.
like,
Like, I
like,
was so confused by that.
look, look, I'm gonna be real as fuck with you right now, B. Like my era. And I know that they saying, oh, this 50 years of hip hop, this, the 50 years of I consider hip hop in its truest, rawest form the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was going on in the 70s, and praise due to all those guys that started it. But the 80s made it a worldwide thing. You know what I'm saying? And thank you, New York, for bringing your culture and spreading it to us. It's New York culture, ultimately. But when it comes down to this whole stupid color stuff, I can tell you right now, in my city, in Miami, you could count with one hand the blacks that were actually like seriously b-boying and popping and all that. They were into their own stuff. They were into locking, some of the older ones, and they were into prepping Donkey Kong and the dog. All right. Some of them popped, and I can't do it right now because I'm like sitting down and I don't want to damage the camera. But they used to do like this pop that like hop, boom, boom with touch, but it was like continuous, boom, boom. It was popping, but it was mixed with a dance where you call it the pony. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's who the B-boys were. The Latinos. All the Latinos were doing it. You know what I'm saying?
So for that dude saying that on Facebook and all this stuff about Latinos are guests,
He's
like
he's he is he's not the only one that has said it, but he's the one that I'm most disappointed
Oh, I was
about
so
because
disappointed.
because I know this dude and he's a good dude. He's a good person, and I love him. He's the funny. He's one of the funniest dudes I know. He's one of the funniest dudes I know, and he's easily one of the persons that I used to love uprocking against the most because James has rhythm, unbelievable rhythm. So when I rocked against James, it almost looked choreographed. You know what I'm saying? Not like some of the stuff that we see nowadays because the rocking has changed a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? The rocking has changed a whole lot, and the new generation, they're trying to be something that they are not. They're trying to be, outlaws. Don't try to be an outlaw unless you know that lifestyle, bro, because you could get in trouble.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
that's another topic, and that will be
I see,
its
I see,
own show.
yeah, I see a lot of Poindexters that've never thrown a punch in their life trying to do certain stuff, and it's like, yo, be very careful.
And some of
But
them vest jackets that some of
yeah,
these
yeah,
B
yeah,
boys
yeah.
are rocking with what's that thing called in the back that you're not supposed to be rocking if you're not in
No,
a
the one
in
percenter joint, the 1%ers.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
they be putting that on their backs, and I'll be
yeah.
like,
That's
yo, you
that's that's
tripping?
not that's not
But
something
let
to
me
be.
tell you something, Chilsky. I'm the type of die-hard hip-hop head, and this goes out to Nightcrawler. I'm gonna say how it is. I still show him love, and I'm still gonna show him love. But
Oh, well,
if he needs to check me so I could check him, I will set up an exhibition b-boy battle because we're from the same generation. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm
no,
gonna give him those rounds. And
no,
and and if he's up for it, I'm up for it because
no,
I'm here. I'm still
no.
here. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
And that's what hip hop is all about.
I
I'm
got
not trying to fight a brother, but if it goes down to that, I'll
yeah,
take care of it. But ultimately, I am so down to battle.
no,
And if you have an issue with me on some like that Latinos are guessing the hip hop, I'm gonna remind you what a Latino is in
no,
hip hop.
yep,
That's what I will do. I'll
yep,
remind you what a Latino is in hip hop when
yep,
it comes to a cipher. Let's get
yep,
into that deep water. Let's see
nope,
what's up
nope. It's
because
a
it's
it's a
disappointing, man.
it's an issue that, dude, it's been driving me nuts, and it's like what are these people thinking? Why are they talking this nonsense? It's like we've been always together. This, if anything, hip hop is the only culture that I know of that has put all of us together through music, through dance, through art. All of us are together. And, you know, it's saddening when you make it into a racial issue when it ain't racial. You know what I'm saying?
He's falling for it. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people that are falling for it.
Yeah. They're
Blacks and
falling for that
Latinos with
nonsense.
the same thing. It's called divide and conquer.
Yeah. No,
Whoever is trying to divide and conquer, they're falling for it.
and then the sad part is that a lot of this people don't realize that Cubans have black as tar
Oh
people.
man, come on.
Dominicans have black as tar people. Puerto Ricans, even Nicaraguans, bro. You know what I'm saying? We all come from the motherland.
Yeah, we're Tainos, Cubans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, we're Taino, we're
Yep,
black. Of
yep,
course, we get a little bit more light skin when we move up
yeah.
north.
Some of us are lighter than others, but it don't matter because so do the Yankee Afros. You got your jet black ones, you have your brown skin ones, and then you got your yellow ones, your high yellow ones, red bones with the green eyes, super light skin. You're still considering yourself black. So then why is it that just because I'm Cuban, all of a sudden I'm not black? Like, I remember this one ignorant girl one time told me, I was trying to rap to her, and I guess she didn't realize that I wasn't Afro American. And one day she called me in my home, and I go to her, ¿Qué pasa, mami? And she's like, what? And I'm like, ¿Qué pasa, mami? And she's like, you speak Spanish? And I'm like, yeah, I'm Cuban. What are you talking about? And she's like, oh. And her attitude completely changed. And I was like, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Nah, yo, you know what? Like, I'm sorry, but I don't do white boys." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "You don't do white boys?" I'm like, Who the hell you talking to? Who the hell you talking about?" And she's like, "You." And I'm like, "I'm a white boy?" And she's like, "Yeah." Now, mind you, she's high. She's like, you know, like a red bone, green eyes, beautiful, beautiful chick. And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Honey, I'm freaking darker than you. I'm black. I'm black. You're high yellow." And she's like, "No, but you speak Spanish." I'm like, "So speaking Spanish makes me a white boy?" Okay, so then that means that you're a white girl too. Then how the hell am I a white girl? Because you speak in English. So
English
until you
is from
speak to me,
England. It comes from
so
England.
yeah, because when once you start to me speaking to me some Ugandan
Yeah,
language or something,
you better speak that tribe language,
until
that
then,
native language.
until then, you're a white girl to me. You know what I'm saying? And it's just sad, man, that all this ignorance is going on right now, and specifically within our hip hop circles. You know what I'm saying? It's really sad because I've seen so much separation where it never existed. You know what I'm saying? The only separation that we had is if we had beef with another crew or another person, and we resolved it by whatever means. You know what I'm saying?
And now,
Now,
Chilsky, you've been around since the 80s.
mm,
You know very well, even as a Zulu in the hip hop scene, everything, you know very well that it has nothing to do with your religion. It has nothing to do with your race, what color hair you have. You don't have no hair, or you're big, you're small. You know very well it's about the skills. That's
skills,
all. The only thing that matters in the hip hop
the
world
skill set,
is
baby.
skills versus skills.
Yep,
So I don't
100%.
understand this whole movement of, and I believe it has to do with socialism and communism and Marxism coming into the land,
Yep,
divide and conquer, making
yep,
the blacks and Latino pretend that we're different.
yep,
That's the easiest way to conquer us. And
yep.
and in hip hop is skills. So for those listeners, it's about the skills. Don't come
One
to me with
hundred
about
percent.
that I'm black, that I'm Latino, and
Yep,
oh, where are you? You are. So let's see what you got.
yep,
At the end of the day, I'm not gonna be like, oh, you lost because you're black. You
yeah,
lost because you're Latino. No, it's your skills.
yep. It's your skills. It's your skills. 100%, man.
It's
It's your skills. That's
crazy.
what
It's
matters.
crazy.
That's what matters, man. That's what matters. 100%.
But I'm gonna give you your own screen, and I want you to let everyone know what are you up to these days. Where can people find you online and connect with you? I want you to give your shout outs. So, my brother, take it away.
Peace, everybody. This is Chillski, also known as Chilly Willy, also known as Secret 007 from FC Crew and Deli Venoms. You can find me on Instagram under Almighty Chillski, Almighty CHILLSKI, and also Chillski Art, and also on Facebook under Willie Perez. And you can find me at any club here in Miami that plays old school hip hop, but specifically freestyle, where I could rock and pop with my partners, the Deli Venoms. And in any concert, specifically if my brothers from Planet Patrol are playing, I'm performing, I'm more than likely I'm going to be on stage with them. And with Shannon, let the music play, my sister, who I love to death. I'm always with them also. So yeah, that's about it. And
Give your shout outs.
check out the movie Vandal that came out in 2019. I think I made my acting debut.
Okay. Give your shout outs. You got that list, brother. Give your shout outs.
My shout outs. Oh, okay. Well, first and foremost, my family, the Deli Venoms, my brother Reverso, E.T. Pop, Cuba, Cubanito, Gato, Shmoon, Atari, and all the rest of the mob. My graffiti brothers, my cousin Dash, my man Zame, Fume, Airborne. Uh, oh man, who I'm forgetting? My best friends in the whole wide world, man. Well, that's reversal too. So Elachi, um, who else am I forgetting? Cammy, Lady Juice, my brothers, Incredible Breakers, Sammy Sam, the Samurai, Chino and Brian, my freaking uprock heroes. I mean, Juice, Carlos, and Zeke were my 80s heroes, but when I saw those brothers, forget about it. Number one, bar none. And big shout out to you, my brother. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, man. I mean, I mean, I'm totally indebted to you, and you know, and all of us that you've given this honor of saying our story. I mean, thank you so much. Oh, and my brothers, I can't forget my brothers, Q, also known as Man of War, and my man Raw J. I mean, I know I'm forgetting people, and I know people are going to be mad, but
It's all good because
yeah,
if I put him
I'm
on the
drawing a
show, they're
blank.
gonna forget a lot too.
I'm
So,
drawing a blank.
but man, thank you so much. It was such an honor, and I know we're gonna do a part two because we just planted the seed. We didn't get to everything. We're going on 4 hours, man.
Wow,
And
man, I
some
can't believe
people
it.
find it. Some people find it like, man, that's too long. Hey, watch it in parts. Not only
Yeah,
that, if you look at the bottom of the description, there's chapter timeline. So
yep,
they could click on the times of what they
yeah,
want to hear, what they don't want to hear. But
nope.
yeah, man, and one of the reasons I make this platform is for brothers like yourself that I've looked up to, that I've seen in the scene, that I've admired, inspired. Man, there's so much, and then you guys are walking this path of knowledge and hip hop and positivity. That's all I've seen from you, and you're an incredible popper and performer, just everything. And you're a
Thank
Bruce
you, my
Lee
brother.
fan. Come
Thank
on,
you, thank
man. You're a Bruce Lee fan. Like when you're a Bruce Lee fan, you're my
you. Yeah,
brother already. That's it.
yeah,
You go
100%.
Zulus.
Yep.
And yeah, man. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, Almighty Chillski. I go by the name of Flashback. This is Flash Talks
Peace to
History.
Image. Peace to Zulu
That
King Image. That's my brother.
that's right. That's right. History worth listening to. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope everyone enjoyed this. There's way more to come. But once again, thank you. It's an honor, Chilsky.
My brother.
And for
Honor for
everyone,
mine.
peace out, y'all.